Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Villain. Many children bring blessings, the heroines are broken. Chapter 21. At this moment, with a click, the door of the fitting room opened. Swish, swish, swish. One after another looked over. When they saw the figure coming out, everyone was stunned and speechless. Oh my God, he is so handsome. How can there be such a handsome man in the world? Isn't this better than those opas? Mom, I'm in love again. Even I have to admit that he is indeed a little more handsome than me. Brother, are you sure it is a little, not a billion points? Quote. After a short calm, the whole audience suddenly exploded. Shu Liang's temperament is excellent. After putting on this suit, with the blessing of buff, he has a little more domineering. He felt it and found that his strength had indeed improved. He saw Lin Hao at a glance. As soon as Shu Liang came out, Lu Ruolan's eyes fell on Shu Liang, with a face full of love. Lin Hao was extremely heartbroken and also planned to run away. If Shu Liang slapped him again, I'm afraid he would fall apart if he didn't die. At this moment, Shu Liang's eyes fell on him. He froze, as if he was stared at by some kind of monster, and he couldn't take a step. How could it be possible? He was extremely horrified, and felt that Shu Liang was even more unfathomable. Or, he hadn't shown his full strength before. How could he play this? Tap, tap, tap. Shu Liang walked towards him step by step. The footsteps sounded, and Lin Hao felt that every step was stepping on his heart. He was sweating profusely, and in a short time, he seemed to be fished out of the water. All this happened only between the two of them, and no one else felt it. Seeing that Shu Liang was about to walk in front of him, Lin Hao used all his strength to break free from the restraints and fled in a hurry. Ding! Lin Hao is afraid of you, villain value plus 987. Seeing his embarrassed escape, Shu Liang's mouth curled up a faint smile. I'll spare your life for the time being. That's right, if he hadn't deliberately let him go, how could Lin Hao get away? Mu Bai is now adding equipment to his research room. If Lin Hao is played to death, it will be less fun. How is it? Shu Liang asked when he came to Lu Ruolan. Very good, very handsome. After saying that, Lu Ruolan finally reacted and lowered his head shyly. Shu Liang was too lazy to change and planned to put it back on directly. Lu Ruolan took the lead and swiped the card. Back home, the spring thunder roared, the war drums sounded wildly, and the song of wind and rain did not stop. As for being pregnant, just drive carefully. Ding! Do you want to bring Lu Ruolan into the family? Let her become one of the family members. Holding the warm and soft jade in his arms, Shu Liang was about to go to bed when a prompt sounded in his mind. His mind moved, immersed in the system, and found that Lu Ruolan's favorability had reached the standard at some point. Become his person, the favorability has reached the standard, the conditions are met, of course, you can become a member of his Shu family. Shu Liang did not hesitate and chose, yes. Ding! Congratulations to the host, family member +1, you have obtained medical skills God level. Swish! The prompt sound fell, and a huge amount of information flooded into his mind. Shu Liang was already used to it and did not feel any discomfort. These memories were like branded in his mind and were quickly digested by him. All about medical knowledge. From some minor illnesses to solutions to difficult and complicated diseases, even cancer can be treated. There are countless prescriptions for treating diseases, conditioning the body, maintaining skin care, and maintaining pregnancy and beauty. Of course, the acupuncture methods used by the protagonist to show off are indispensable. What Tai magic needle, Guigu 13 needles, against the sky 8 needles, 7 stars sustaining life needle. Everything is available. It is no exaggeration to say that he is the second best doctor in the past and present, and no one dares to claim to be the first. Those protagonists can't do it either. The next morning, after leaving Lu Ruolan's house, Shu Liang did not go to the company or look for other women. Instead, he returned to the Shu family compound. This has to talk about his family. His grandfather was a founding father and lived in seclusion in the South China Sea. His father was one of the 9 tripods and now works in the imperial capital. His second uncle is a business genius who founded the Shu Group and has now moved to the overseas market. His aunt is unparalleled in martial arts and is a female warrior in the army with the rank of general. His mother is responsible for the domestic market and moved the Shu group to the imperial capital. He also has a younger sister who is studying at a university in the imperial capital. His mother's family, the Yun family, is not much weaker, and is a hidden family in the imperial capital. There are only 2 daughters in this generation, namely his mother and his aunt. His second uncle has a daughter, his cousin, who also goes to school in the imperial capital. His aunt has not married yet in order to practice martial arts, and his aunt is a workaholic and has not married either. He is the only male in the 3 generations of the Shu and Yun families. You can imagine how important he is. With his status, the prince of the imperial capital has to respectfully call him Brother Liang when he sees him. However, such a powerful family force was the stepping stone for the protagonist, and ended up with the family destroyed and the people dead. Shu Liang was speechless. In fact, if the predecessor had not been delivering food to the protagonist all the time and not taken it seriously, how could he have ended up like that? As long as he paid a little more attention, killing the protagonist would be like playing house. When he first crossed over, he was panicked. Even though he had masters protecting him, he still felt unsafe and called the old man to ask him to arrange masters to come. He didn't feel relieved until he pulled the heroine into the family and his strength soared. Then he asked those masters to go back or hide. He didn't want a group of old men in their 60s and 70s to follow him. It was because the masters were sent away that the protagonist felt that the younger brothers around him were vulnerable. But as long as Shu Liang said a word, those strong men would gather quickly. That power would make the protagonist feel what real despair is. Now that he is here, the family will not be destroyed. Those who should be afraid are the protagonists. In other words, now there is only him in the Shu family of the Magic City. His family had called him to go to the capital more than once. Especially that sickly sister, who would not go to school and would go on a hunger strike if she couldn't make it. But Shu Liang refused all of them. He planned to go again after a while. After killing the protagonist, he would search for the heroines in the Magic City and then go to the capital to collect more. Now his idea has been confirmed, there is more than one protagonist, so he can't go to the capital. The Magic City is a key city where the protagonist appears. It won't be too late to go after the protagonists in the Magic City are almost collected. Shu Family Courtyard. Located in the suburbs of Magic City, it covers an area of nearly 10 acres and is very large. Unlike some families that use a combination of Chinese and Western architectural features, Shu Family is a pure classical building. Palaces, pavilions, flower terraces and small pavilions. Walking into it, it seems to travel through time and space. Shu Liang came to his own courtyard, and a bodyguard came in with a few bags of medicinal materials and handed them to him. Although he had the supplements he sent, he could ensure the safe birth of the baby in Lu Ruolin's belly. But in order to ensure that everything is foolproof, he came back today to prepare some more formulas for restoring the fetus and nourishing the spirit. He obtained the god-level medical skills from her last night, which can be regarded as wool coming from the sheep. In addition, he also prepared a portion of poison. Except for him, even if the protagonist uses Tai Divine Needle, he can't solve the kind of poison. Give the protagonist a surprise at that time. According to the news he got, Heping Hospital is about to take action against Beikeotang. According to the plot, they will send a critically ill patient to Beikeotang to cause trouble. When Beikeotang can't save the patient, they will jump out. However, because of the existence of the protagonist, no matter what kind of patient they arrange to go, they will be cured. Instead, the reputation of Beikeotang has been raised. The protagonist also gained a wave of goodwill in front of the heroine. In the next Chinese and Western medicine exchange meeting, the protagonist made a big splash and completely made his reputation. Since the patient arranged by Heping Hospital is not good, then he will poison it again. Imagine, when the patient appeared in Beikeotang and everyone was helpless, the protagonist jumped out to show off. However, he found that he couldn't cure it either. I guess the protagonist's expression must be very interesting at that time. Just because of an interesting idea, he had to poison a person. He didn't care what kind of pain that person would suffer. Not to mention that the person was working for Heping Hospital, even if he was an innocent passerby. Shu Liang wouldn't care. Anyway, he is not a good person, let alone a saint, and he can do whatever he wants. Afternoon. Betrayal. People come and go on the street, and people come in and out from time to time. Compared with the past, Chinese medicine practitioners were suppressed and could not raise their heads. There might not be a patient for half a day. With Chen Zhangjia's return and becoming the shopkeeper, Chinese medicine has gradually gained momentum. A middle-aged woman with an ordinary face, a thin body, and a haggard face came to the door of Betrayal. Her name is Liao Ping. Because of long-term use of white powder, her body became weaker and weaker, her immunity dropped sharply, and a series of problems also appeared. The latest examination found septicemia. This is a disease with a high mortality rate. The cost of treatment is not ordinary, and she has long spent all her savings. And because she usually doesn't care, her condition has reached a very serious level. It can almost be determined that she will die. Just when she was desperate, a doctor found her. He told her that he could provide her with the best treatment without her spending a penny. The requirement was to let her do one thing. In the face of death, Liao Ping agreed without hesitation. When the doctor told her what to do, she was a little surprised. Let her go to Betrayal and ask the doctor there to cure her. If she is not cured, she will make trouble. Isn't it easy? So she walked into Betrayal like everyone else, took a number and lined up. It was her turn, and a white-haired old man in a tang suit felt her pulse. After a moment, the old man in the tang suit looked solemn. He rolled her eyes again and asked her to open her mouth to look at her tongue coating. The old man was very professional and quickly determined that she had septicemia. Liao Ping was very disapproving. She didn't believe in traditional Chinese medicine. Can you diagnose a disease by feeling a pulse? It's too mysterious. Now, even if the old Chinese doctor told her about her illness, she would just curl her lips. She still believed that Heping Hospital could cure her. She was ready to make trouble as planned. However, before she could open her mouth, a burning feeling surged through her body. It seemed as if the whole person was about to burn. Unable to bear the burning sensation, her eyes turned white, she foamed at the mouth, and twitched on the spot. The sudden change not only frightened the people in the hall, but also confused those who were ready to follow the arrangement. After coming to their senses, they thought it was a drama, and hurriedly began to cooperate. Oh no, call the police, Betrayal has killed someone. I said that Chinese medicine is metaphysics, how can it cure diseases and save lives, now someone is dead. It's terrible, I will never believe in Chinese medicine again. Quote. As several people shouted, the crowd also panicked and panicked. After a flurry of activity, the hall quieted down. Quiet, everyone also saw that this patient became ill during the diagnosis process, and it was not a problem with our treatment. Please rest assured, I will investigate it clearly. If there is really a problem with our medication, I will be responsible to the end. Chen Zhangji, the shopkeeper, stood up. She was quite prestigious, and she controlled the situation with just a few words. However, this was not what the people with ulterior motives wanted to see, and someone spoke loudly. It sounds good, the person got into trouble here. We at Betrayal will cure him. Before the person finished speaking, he was interrupted by Chen Zhangji. A pair of cold eyes fell on the person who spoke. She exuded an imposing aura that made it impossible to despise her. The person turned his face away and dared not say more. Shopkeeper, her illness is a little strange. At this time, the old Chinese doctor came to Chen Zhangji with cold sweat on his head. He had just determined the condition, but after Liao Ping's illness broke out, he diagnosed it again, but he couldn't find out what the disease was. It's not that he couldn't find it, it's just a kind of disease that he had never seen before. It seemed that it had never appeared before. The blood in his body was boiling. It was simply unheard of. At this time, the patient had fainted. Her body was still twitching, and you could tell from her frowning brows that she was in pain even if she fainted. Seeing the shopkeeper arrive, several other old Chinese medicine practitioners stood up. They all felt the patient's pulse and shook their heads to indicate that they could not find any disease. Chen Zhangji looked solemn, and she also came closer to feel the patient's pulse. Gradually, her brows furrowed deeper and deeper. The body functions were still intact, and some injuries were also caused by taking cocaine, but the blood was very abnormal. It seemed boiling, burning. This was also the first time she encountered such a situation. It seemed those people came prepared this time. The next moment, seeing that her face was not right, some people started to make a fuss. Isn't it that Chinese medicine is not good enough? Don't you brag about how powerful Chinese medicine is? You can cure people without surgery. Chinese medicine is just a bunch of fancy tricks. If you really want to cure diseases and save lives, you have to see Western medicine. Quote. A series of unbearable voices came, and Chen Zhangjia's face was ugly. She had long known that the people at Heping Hospital were targeting Beikeotang. They couldn't bear to see Beikeotang doing well and didn't want Chinese medicine to rise. She had resolved the trouble several times before. I'm afraid this time, her heart was sinking. Without knowing the cause of the disease, she had no idea how to prescribe medicine. If only she knew the Tai magic needle from her master. The Tai magic needle was magical. It could regulate the body in all directions and bring the dead back to life. Even if the cause of the disease was unknown, it could still cure people. It was a pity that she had never learned it. Just when everyone thought that Chen Zhangjia couldn't cure it and Beikeotang was going to fail. A very pretentious voice sounded. Chinese medicine is not just a fancy trick. Today I will let you see the real ability of Chinese medicine. Brush, brush, brush. Gazes followed the sound. I saw an ordinary young man walking out with a confident smile on his face. The arrogant words just now came from his mouth. Hey. Who is this? He speaks so arrogantly. And let us meet a real Chinese medicine doctor. Who does he think he is? Several veteran Chinese doctors can't even find out the cause of the disease, and shopkeeper Chen can't do anything about it. How can he be just a brat? Where did this guy come from? Do you still think our Beikao Hall is not chaotic enough? Obviously, not even the people in Beikeotang believed Lin Hao's words. Not to mention everyone else, even more so. Feel the disdain, ridicule, and sneer from all directions. Lin Hao disagreed. I believe that once he cures this patient, all doubts will disappear. I can't say that's all, there are still some people who believe him. That is, Chen Zhangjia. Her eyes lit up as she thought of the letter her master had sent her. The letter clearly stated that Lin Hao's medical skills were not inferior to his. In other words, Lin Hao has mastered the Tai divine needle. A glimmer of hope rose in her heart. If he takes action, he will definitely be able to save people. Seeing Lin Hao continue to walk forward, someone stepped forward to drive him out. Chen Zhangjia stopped him and explained the reason to everyone. What? He is shopkeeper Chen's junior brother. Is he really that powerful? His medical skills have surpassed shopkeeper Chen's master. Are you kidding? Which Chinese medicine doctor is not a senior? How old is this guy? Except for shopkeeper Chen. Haha, is it just him? He is also a master of Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is really getting worse and worse. Shopkeeper Chen's medical skills are so great. She said that this brother's medical skills are great. I think he should be somewhat capable. Quote. Everyone was a little surprised when Chen Zhangjia said that Lin Hao was her junior brother. However, many people still expressed doubts about Lin Hao's medical skills. When he walked up to him and saw the expectation in senior sister Rang's eyes, Lin Hao gave a reassuring look in return. He felt a little excited. It's not easy, the senior sister finally noticed him. After Chen Zhangjia took him out of the police station, he left him alone for several days, leaving him with no sense of existence at all. That was all in the past. From now on, he will let his senior sister know his power a little bit. Everything starts from curing the patient in front of you. Lin Hao has this confidence. Take a deep breath and pick up the set of silver needles next to you. With a solemn look on his face, he raised his hand and began to inject the needle. Silver needles were inserted into the patient's major acupuncture points one by one, and soon the body was covered with needles. After achieving this step, Lin Hao did not relax, because the next step was the important step. He raised his hand and flicked the tip of a silver needle. The silver needle began to tremble regularly. When every silver needle began to vibrate, Lin Hao was already sweating profusely. This process requires the use of dark energy, and the tremor of each silver needle must be consistent, which is extremely labor-intensive. Fortunately, everything was completed smoothly. Afterwards, Lin Hao put his hands behind his back with a faint smile on his face. Already prepared to receive compliments and adoration from everyone, Chen Zhangjia stood aside and watched without blinking. She was excited. After several years, she finally saw the Tai Divine Needle again. No matter how many times I've seen it, it still feels amazing. She also tried to learn more than once, but she couldn't learn it at all. Chen Zhangjia could still remain calm, but all the old Chinese medicine doctors around her lost their composure. This is actually the legendary Tai Divine Needle. Is it really the Tai Magic Needle? Legend has it that it can bring human flesh and bones to life. I was lucky enough to see it today, and I will die with no regrets. There is hope. In the past few times, the Tai Magic Needle has been released, and there are almost no diseases that cannot be cured. Quote. A few old men acted very exaggeratedly. She was crying, her pupils were constricted, and she was talking nonsense. Lin Hao moved his hands away, but the silver needle on the patient's body was still trembling. This magical scene shocked everyone present. Especially seeing the performance of several veteran Chinese medicine practitioners, they couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Maybe, this young man can really cure the patient. Time passes slowly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. 5 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The trembling silver needle slowly stopped, but the patient made no movement at all. Everyone held their breath, expecting a miracle to happen. However, another 10 minutes passed. There has never been a so-called miracle. The crowd was stunned for a moment. That's it. Chen Zhangjia and others also had similar expressions. The expressions on the faces of several old Chinese medicine doctors solidified. What's going on? They looked at Chen Zhangjia with questioning eyes. They had only heard of Tai Divine Needle, a legendary acupuncture technique. I don't know what the specific process is, and I don't know how long it takes for the patient to wake up. Chen Zhangjia was also a little confused. She has seen the master use the Tai Magic Needle more than once. The patients almost always wake up within 5 minutes after the silver needle stops trembling. Lin Hao's technique was consistent with that of his master. Why was there still no movement from the patient after 10 minutes? For a moment, Lin Hao's eyes gradually began to look suspicious. They were confused and suspicious, but Lin Hao was an idiot at this time. Unable to maintain the pretentious posture any longer, the hands behind his back quickly came forward to check his pulse. Soon, he was shocked to discover there was no improvement at all. The blood is boiling, but the patient is still frowning, as if resisting the inhuman torture. In other words, his Tai Divine Needle is useless at all. Impossible. Lin Hao's face was full of disbelief. He didn't believe in evil, so he tried his best to exert himself once again. 20 minutes passed. That's it. Nima, you were so arrogant just now, and this is all you have. What's his skill? I think he's just a liar. He knows shit about medical skills. Fortunately, I believed he could cure people before, and I watched him seriously for half an hour. I'm an idiot, really. Ha ha ha, you really let us see what Chinese medicine is, and it only knows all the bells and whistles. Quote. The crowd immediately went crazy. A series of unpleasant voices sounded, and he almost pointed at Lin Hao's nose and cursed. Several old Chinese medicine doctors couldn't help but stepped forward to check the situation. Gradually, their expressions became frighteningly ugly, because they found that the patient had not changed at all from before. He glared at Lin Hao fiercely. Fortunately, they thought Tai Divine Needle had appeared, so they were happy in vain. Who knew this guy was so unreliable? A set of operations is as fierce as a tiger, but it turns out to be useless. It also caused them to waste so much time in vain. A small waste of time is a big problem, but a delay in treating patients is a big problem. They can also feel it. If the troubles Betrayal encounters this time cannot be overcome, some rising Chinese medicine practitioners may be completely suppressed again. While they were angry at Lin Hao, they couldn't help but start to have doubts. Does Tai Divine Needle really exist? Chen Zhangjia's face was also very ugly. She knows the efficacy of Tai Nerve. Even people who are about to die can be saved from death. The only explanation is, Lin Hao is not good at academics. I don't know what kind of ecstasy soup he poured into the master, and he said that Lin Hao's medical skills were no worse than his. Forget it, if you don't have the ability, you still have to go out and show off. This time it was better, but instead of curing the person, it also ruined the reputation of the master. Chen Zhangjia's impression of Lin Hao was not very good to begin with, but now it is even worse. And what about Lin Hao? At this time, he was so tired that he collapsed on the ground, his face was blank, and he completely doubted his life. Tai Shenzhen targets the whole body and can even cure cancer, not to mention other diseases. Therefore, no one, including him, suspected that someone had tampered with it. Then why did it have no effect at all after using the Tai divine needle twice? Lin Hao himself wondered if he had learned to be lonely. Ding! Lin Hao's mentality exploded, villain value plus 888. Ding! Lin Hao doubted his life, villain value plus 999. On the other side, Xu Liang looked at a video in front of him with a faint smile on his face. The video played the scenes that happened in Betrayal. As the initiator of everything, he certainly would not miss this interesting scene. He asked someone to poison the people sent by Heping Hospital, and then he arranged for someone to go in with a pinhole camera to wait and see. Although he had guessed such a situation, it was still quite interesting to see it with his own eyes. Soon, there was a commotion in the video. He raised his eyebrows and saw that it turned out to be a group of reporters who broke into Betrayal. They seemed to have been prepared, and they set up long guns and short guns and started shouting. I heard that someone died in Betrayal. Is this true? What disease did the patient have? Betrayal can't cure it. Does it mean that Chinese medicine is not good? Manager Chen, when I interviewed you, you said that Chinese medicine is not metaphysics. Now someone died in it. How do you explain it? Quote. One by one, they questioned Chinese medicine. If these people were not arranged in advance, she would not believe it even if she was beaten to death. Chen Zhangjia frowned and began to explain the reason for the matter. However, the patient was still lying on the side, and her explanation was so pale and powerless. At this time, another group of people came in. The people who came were doctors from Heping Hospital, and they were all arrogant. The middle-aged man who led them looked disdainful. He came to the people in Betrayal and spoke in a sarcastic tone. I have said before that Chinese medicine is metaphysics. There is no scientific basis and it cannot be used to treat diseases at all. Now, if you can't even cure a septicemia patient, what qualifications do you have to practice medicine? His name is Lu Nang, and he is a chief physician at Heping Hospital. Since returning from studying abroad, he has been engaged in research in the field of heart and has made great achievements. Having been baptized by foreign medicine, he looked down on Chinese medicine in his own country. Just take the pulse, look at the eyes and tongue, can you determine what the disease is? Can you cure difficult and complicated diseases with some medicine? What kind of international joke is this? There is something even funnier. No medicine is needed, just a few injections in the body, and the patient will get better. It's simply outrageous. His mother opened the door to outrageousness, outrageous to the extreme. He has the same idea as his foreign teachers. Western medicine is the real way to save the world, and Chinese medicine is heresy and must be eradicated. His goal is to suppress Chinese medicine so that it can't raise its head. She is not septicemia. Chen Zhangjia looked at him coldly, ready to say Liao Ping's condition, which has never been seen in the history of medicine. If it is really septicemia, they have plenty of ways to treat it in Chinese medicine. Don't make excuses. Thinking that she was changing the subject, Lu Nang interrupted unceremoniously. We, Western medicine, will treat those who cannot be cured by Chinese medicine. I want to tell you that Chinese medicine is just a scam. If you really want to treat a disease, you have to see a Western doctor. After saying this, Lu Nang felt very comfortable. I'm sure that Mr. Smith will praise me for my performance, right? It has to be said that what he said was very contagious, and many people in the hall were moved. More and more people showed their approval on their faces. Some reporters even recorded what he said and praised him one by one. Lu Nang responded to them one by one. Not only did he advertise Western medicine, but he also belittled Chinese medicine again. Then Lu Nang waved his hand and asked someone to take the patient back for treatment. In order to severely hit Chinese medicine, He also said that he would publicly treat the patient and follow up on the patient's condition. As a group of people left, the people who originally came to see the doctor also left one after another. After this incident, they also doubted Chinese medicine. The people in Betrayal were full of resentment, but they were helpless. Several old Chinese medicine practitioners shook their heads and sighed. I'm afraid that after this storm, Chinese medicine will decline again. Chen Zhangjia bit her lips tightly, and a trace of despair surged in her heart. She has been determined to lead the rise of Chinese medicine since she was a child, and she has been working hard for this. When she was a child, when other children were playing, she was reading Chinese medicine books. Afterwards, she worshipped a medical master as her teacher, thinking that she had learned a lot and was able to carry forward Chinese medicine. Unexpectedly, troubles came one after another. In the past, she could grit her teeth to solve difficulties. But this time, she felt powerless. Seeing the change in her face, Lin Hao opened his mouth to say something, but he couldn't say anything. At first, everyone was not optimistic about him, and Chen Zhangjia was the only one who believed in him. But he failed her trust and disappointed her. Lin Hao began to hate his own incompetence. Ding! Lin Hao has self-doubt, villain value plus 1000. On the other side, Xu Liang watched the video and took in everyone's expressions. A smile of control appeared on his face. Not enough. Let the storm come even harder. He looked at one of his men. Let's start. Soon, the news about what happened at Betrayal spread on the internet and quickly became a hot search. A topic about Chinese medicine and Western medicine was debated. Chinese medicine is a scam. If you really want to see a doctor, you have to see a Western doctor. As Chinese medicine metaphysics, Western medicine is orthodox, and Chinese medicine is heresy. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. The topic quickly dominated the top 10 hot search lists. A Rolls-Royce was driving on the street. In the car, Xu Liang was browsing his phone, and he was quite satisfied with his masterpiece. In fact, it was not all arranged by him. Heping Hospital was also operating this matter in order to suppress Chinese medicine. He just fueled the incident. I guess Chen Zhangjia is getting anxious. Then let the bullets fly for a while. Xu Liang guessed correctly. Betrayal was not only anxious, but almost crazy. Boss, this is bad. A man came to Chen Zhangjia in a panic and told her the hot search he saw. Chen Zhangjia's face gradually turned pale. She didn't expect Heping Hospital to be so cruel. This is the rhythm of forcing Betrayal to death. In fact, Heping Hospital was also quite confused. Such a powerful navy, can they do it with hundreds of thousands? Of course, they are happy to see all this happen, and they are ready to watch Betrayal close down with a smile. Little did they know that in the eyes of the mastermind behind the scenes, they were just a pawn. When Xu Liang came to Lu Ruolin's house, Lu Ruolin had already prepared a sumptuous meal and was waiting for him. After eating together, Xu Liang took out several packets of Chinese medicine for pregnancy and spirit, and explained its efficacy. Lu Ruolin took it with emotion and asked the nanny to make it immediately. In the past, she would never dare to drink the medicine given by Xu Liang. Who knows what reaction she will have after drinking it? However, after Xu Liang's care for her in the past few days, she has slowly let down her guard. Her good impression is also constantly improving. After last night, Xu Liang has been imprinted in his heart and completely fallen. 2 hours later, Xu Liang and Lu Ruolin came back from a walk outside. The nanny brought the boiled medicine over. Lu Ruolin was about to take it, but Xu Liang was one step faster and looked at her with a smile. I'll feed you. The gentle words made Lu Ruolin's heart melt. Come, President Lu, it's time to drink the medicine. After the medicine cooled down slightly, Xu Liang scooped a spoonful with a spoon. This is Xu Liang's bad taste. When he handed the spoon over, Lu Ruolin leaned over and had the pleasure of feeding. Lu Ruolin, she was a little confused, and always felt something was wrong. She opened her mouth blankly and drank the medicine. After drinking a bowl of medicine, Lu Ruolin felt a stream of warm current flowing through her limbs. Her eyes lit up, and she had never felt so refreshed. For a moment, she looked at Xu Liang with a look of emotion. The effect of this medicine is extraordinary, and it is good for her and the baby in her belly. Shu Liang must have spent a lot of effort to find this medicine, right? Lu Ruolin thought to herself. At the same time, she also decided to repay him well. When she thought of this, her pretty face gradually turned red. Next, it was time for Shu Liang to enjoy Lu Ruolin's repayment. The time came to 9 o'clock in the evening. The influence of the hot search gradually spread. After the internet bombardment, Beikeotang has become completely famous. Beikeotang, which seems a bit deserted on weekdays, is now surrounded by people outside. Is this Beikeotang? I have been in Shanghai for so many years, and I only know there is such a place today. Why is the door closed? I still want to see the beautiful shopkeeper inside. Chen Zhangjia, what a poetic name. So you are greedy for her body, you are cheap. I am different, I came to see the funny guy named Lin Hao, it really made me laugh to death, he was as fierce as a tiger, but it didn't work at all. I still like to see his rebellious appearance before. The crowd was noisy. They all came here because of its reputation. Some were prepared to see the jokes of Beikeotang, some were to see the peerless beauties, and some were just to join in the fun. Inside Beikeotang, after seeing that the situation was not right, Chen Zhangjia asked someone to close the door. They watched the scene outside through the surveillance, silent, and the atmosphere seemed a bit depressing. Lin Hao was among them. Ever since he disappointed Chen Zhangjia, he has been very self-blaming. At this time, his face was extremely gloomy. Not long ago, he saw a video, clicked in and saw the comments inside, and his mentality collapsed directly. Everyone in the comments commented that he was a funny guy, and everyone treated him as a joke. He was also a popular person. Lin Hao wanted to cry but had no tears. He wanted to be famous, but not in this way. Everyone present knew that this incident was inseparable from Heping Hospital, and it was to suppress them. This was a thorough conspiracy, and they had no choice. I'll go and settle accounts with them. Finally, Lin Hao's suppressed anger broke out. He planned to teach the people from the Heping Hospital a lesson. As soon as he turned around, Chen Zhangjia stopped him. Come back. What are you going to do? Go to Heping Hospital to settle accounts. Don't you think we are not chaotic enough? She was completely disappointed with this junior brother. They only know how to fight and kill, and have no brains at all. Noticing her disappointed expression, Lin Hao trembled, and he could only endure it no matter how unwilling he was in his heart. Boss, what should we do next? Someone asked worriedly. In this situation, they dare not even open the door of Beikeotang, let alone receive patients. Chen Zhangjia pursed her lips and uttered a word. Wait. Everyone was a little confused. A few old Chinese medicine practitioners had a thought and understood what Chen Zhangjia meant. That's right, wait, didn't Heping Hospital take the patient back? When the news that they couldn't cure the patient came out, attention would be diverted, and the turmoil in Beikeotang would be much smaller. They had no doubt whether Heping Hospital could cure people. That was a disease they had never seen in medical history. They didn't even know the cause of the disease, let alone the treatment. In fact, it was almost the same as Chen Zhangjia thought. Heping Hospital. Emergency room. A group of doctors in white coats were busy. Lu Neng was among them. He was holding a patient's examination report in his hand, with a blank look in his eyes. What disease is this? The blood in his body was boiling, and it was the first time he had seen it. Since the patient was taken back, a large group of doctors had examined her. When the first test results came out, they were dumbfounded. It was not sepsis at all, but a disease they had never seen before. At first they thought the patient was poisoned. After repeated examinations, no toxins were found in the patient's body. Some doctors speculated that sepsis had mutated, and this speculation was agreed by most doctors. After all, this patient had inhaled a lot of white powder, and his body had accumulated a lot of minor problems. It was not surprising that it broke out completely and mutated at a certain moment. This is a new disease born in the human body, which has a high research value. But they can't study it anymore. For this disease, they have no way to do anything, and they can't even relieve it. And the patient's body functions are fading, and it won't be long before he will die of body function failure. This is exactly what Lu Neng is worried about. In order to suppress traditional Chinese medicine, he let the media publicly report the patient's condition. According to the attention paid to this matter by the society, if the patient dies here, not only will Betrayal not be suppressed, but the reputation of Heping Hospital will also be affected. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. If they can't cure him, just send him back. Anyway, the patient was in Betrayal, and the reason why he was not cured was that Betrayal delayed the treatment, so they can't be blamed. If the patient dies in Betrayal, they will have to close the door. Let's do it. Seemingly thinking that this method is good, Lu Neng made the decision. But before that, they still plan to give it a try. What if they cure the patient? This is a disease that has never appeared in medical history. If they cure the patient, they will definitely become famous. On the other side, after receiving the news from Heping Hospital, Shu Liang no longer cares about it. Just know that everything is going according to the trajectory he arranged. Lu Ruolin woke up the next day. After some exercise, she had completely absorbed the medicine. Now she feels relaxed all over, and the fatigue of working late at night has disappeared. After staring at Shu Liang on the pillow for a long time, she got up to prepare breakfast. During the day, Shu Liang did not accompany Lu Ruolin, but went to find his other women. Because of Lu Ruolin's pregnancy, he had suspended his pursuit of other female protagonists and had no time to accompany other women. Now, Lu Ruolin has completely surrendered, and he will continue his unfinished business. Before that, he decided to comfort other women first. Shu Liang came to Modu Airlines. The manager with a voluptuous figure, a beautiful face, and a height of 1.78 meters received him. This is one of Shu Liang's family members. Li Xiaoming was a newly graduated flight attendant. I don't know if it was her luck or misfortune, but she met Shu Liang at her first job. Then he fell under Shu Liang's offensive. After taking it, how could he let his woman become a stewardess? She was directly placed at the top of her company. Li Xiaoming feels that she is lucky. Now she is free from work all day and can just give orders to her subordinates. Even the company boss was polite to her, for fear of accidentally offending her. A few days later, Shu Liang appeared again. What she had learned finally came in handy, and she tried her best to please him. It's a pity, she is still too young and knows nothing about Shu Liang's power. Not to mention her alone, even dozens of others would not be enough for him to fight. During lunch, Shu Liang received news from Betrayal and Heping Hospital. Both sides could hardly hold on any longer. Betrayal could not resist the pressure of public opinion, and the patients in Heping Hospital were getting worse and worse. Because they had not announced the patient's condition for a long time, the public opinion that was originally one-sided towards Betrayal turned to their side again. After reading the news, Shu Liang forked it. It's not time for him to take action yet. Suddenly, another message was sent. Click to view it. It was sent by Peng Ming, the best friend of the other protagonist Mu Bai. Shu Liang not only asked him to finally present the new battery technology, but also monitored Mu Bai's every move. Has the equipment been installed? If you don't work hard to develop the technology, you still have time to hang out. It seems, we still have to get to this point. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows. After seeing the news that the equipment was installed, Mu Bai did not start research immediately, but prepared to take over the Mu family's industry. How does this work? Isn't this not doing our job properly? Immediately, Shu Liang made a call and gave the order. 2 days have passed, and almost all the information about the Mu family has been investigated. I was ready to let him go bankrupt at any time, just waiting for Shu Liang's order. As his orders were issued, a business storm swept through the Magic City. Mu family. Mu Feng, the helmsman, is explaining something to his son Mu Bai. The son figured out that he would return home and inherit the family business. He also planned to abdicate and began to gradually delegate power. Dad, don't worry, I will definitely take the Mu family to new heights. Mu Bai's eyes were firm. He did not forget Shu Liang's ridicule to him. He vowed to take revenge and regain his beloved goddess. Mu Feng was very pleased to see his son full of fighting spirit. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells. A cell phone rang, interrupting what he was about to say. The call is connected. An anxious voice came from the other side. Chairman, it's bad. The industrial and commercial, taxation, security and other departments suddenly came to investigate our company. What did you say? Mu Feng's face changed wildly, and he stood up suddenly, his voice trembling. Companies like them are more or less borderline and cannot withstand investigation at all. The Mushi Group has a market value of tens of billions, and since he knows how to be a good person and manage everything, under normal circumstances, he will not be investigated. In a situation like this, where multiple departments appear at the same time, someone must be targeting. Don't panic yet, cooperate with the work, I will be here right away. After hanging up the phone, Mu Feng quickly prepared to go to the company. Blessings never come alone, and misfortunes never come alone. The call was picked up again. This time it was one of his partners who had just negotiated a big project not long ago. The cooperation between us is cancelled, please don't contact us again. Hey. Hey. The other party said something and then hung up. Mu Feng's face was full of doubts. Soon the phone rang again. Next, the phone rang one after another, and almost all of them wanted to break up with him. Mu Feng's heart continued to sink, and his face turned pale and bloodless. If it weren't for the endurance he'd developed over the years, he would have collapsed long ago. What is going on? Who is targeting the Mu family? Jingle bells. This time the caller was from a close friend of his. The two have known each other since childhood, and they have known each other since they were wearing crotchless pants. Not surprisingly, they also called to sever ties with him. Brother Lee, for the sake of our friendship, can you tell me who my Mu family has offended to kill me? He gritted his teeth, his tone full of reluctance and pleading. The other party was silent for a while, then said, "Shu." He only uttered one word, but it seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds, making Mu Feng breathless. The other party hung up the phone, Mu Feng ignored it, and murmured, "It's over. The Mu family is over." Seeing his father's appearance, Mu Bai felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. Finally, he couldn't help asking, "Dad, what's wrong? Did something happen to the group?" The entire business circle in the Magic City was shaken. First, one company after another announced that they would sever ties with the Mu Group and terminate cooperation. Then the relevant departments found a series of problems such as tax evasion, unqualified products, unsafe hygiene, etc. Some of them were true, and no one questioned them even if they were false. Because it was the Shu family and Shu Liang who made the move. The Mu Group was sealed up and its funds were frozen under various names. The Mu Group, which was once in its heyday, was in turmoil and about to go bankrupt. Many forces were terrified. While wondering how the Mu family had offended the Shu family, they also couldn't help but feel a sense of grief for the dead rabbit. The outside world was treacherous, but Shu Liang was not affected at all. In the afternoon, he came to the Magic City radio station. While sipping tea, he enjoyed the service of the most beautiful host. This was also one of his women. Lin Lian. When I met her, she was just a small intern reporter. At the beginning, she came to the Shu Group and received an order to interview Shu Liang. With her, there were many other reporters in the same field. These people were very prestigious in the circle, and she thought that there was no hope for this interview, but she didn't expect a sudden turn of events. Shu Liang pointed his finger at her and clearly asked her to interview him. The acquaintance of the two began from then on. After the interview, she returned to the company and became a regular employee, and was grateful to Shu Liang. In an accidental situation, the two met again. When Shu Liang invited her to dinner, she did not refuse. In the following interactions, she was gradually attracted by Shu Liang's charm, and things gradually came to fruition. After learning that her dream was to be a host, Shu Liang directly arranged her to be the first supporter of the radio station. She was also very competitive, with a prominent figure, super high appearance, and most importantly, a pleasant voice, and soon secured the position of the first host. In this process, she gained a large number of fans and won the title of the most beautiful host. But they didn't know that the most beautiful goddess in their hearts was now flattering a man. It was almost dusk when Shu Liang came out of the Magic City radio station. He glanced at the message sent by his subordinates. Things between Betrayal and Heping Hospital have made new developments. Heping Hospital sent the patient back to Betrayal. Lu Nang, who had picked up the patient before, said in the interview. Originally, they were able to cure the patient, but because they delayed the best time for treatment at Betrayal, the condition worsened, and now they are unable to recover. It not only diverted attention, but also belittled Chinese medicine and Betrayal again. What he said was reasonable. Betrayal's treatment of patients did take a long time before. Especially the one named Lin Hao, who used fancy acupuncture techniques, but it had no effect at all. As soon as this interview came out, Lin Hao was whipped to death again. In fact, there are many loopholes in Lu Neng's words. How arrogant he was when he picked up patients before. However, there are always a few sober people. Driven by the trolls, most people preferred the Peace Hospital. As Betrayal committing murder, delaying the condition is tantamount to murder. Oh my god, it's so scary. I went to Betrayal Hall to see a doctor before, and I shudder to think about it now. I don't believe in Chinese medicine anymore. That Lin Hao really deserves to die. He is indirectly killing someone. I suggest that he should be dragged out and shot for 5 minutes. Quote. Betrayal. Seeing Heping Hospital sending the patients back again, everyone was so angry that they gritted their teeth. How can people be so shameless? He couldn't cure it himself, but when he saw that the patient's condition was serious, he sent him back. Chen Zhangjia felt heavy. The patient's condition is already serious. If no treatment can be found, I'm afraid he will die soon. Once she dies here, Betrayal will be pushed to the forefront again. It will be over by then. Very few people know. Betrayal attracted the attention of the whole country and even the world. The Mushi Group, with a market capitalization of tens of billions, has collapsed. What's strange is that MU's group suddenly closed down in the past afternoon, but no news came out. It seemed like just a trivial thing happened. There were no news reports, no one was hyping it up, it was just calm. Yes, the news was suppressed by Xu Liang. No matter what he does, his gentle image must be maintained. Of course, he can't cover everything, there are still rumors circulating. Xu Liang did not stop this. Properly spreading some news can also enhance his deterrence. Mu family. The Mu family father and son were kicked out, and people from the bank just came to take away the house. Mujia has a market value of tens of billions, mostly based on industrial valuations. In fact, they borrow money from banks every year to develop new projects. Now that the Mu family is bankrupt, of course the bank can't sit still. In one afternoon, Mu Feng seemed to have aged dozens of years instantly, and he looked completely lost. It is unacceptable to anyone to be a billionaire at noon, but to be kicked out of the house at night, living on the streets, and reduced to a beggar. Mu Bai also had a numb expression. After some questioning, he also found out that it was the Xu family who did it. The Mu family had never provoked the Xu family before, so why did they suddenly attack them? The first attack was with thunderous means, leaving the Mu family with no chance to resist. Mu Feng couldn't figure this out. But Mu Bai knew that it was definitely because of him. Did I do anything to you? You also humiliated me, and now you are targeting my Mu family. You are too overbearing. Mu Bai was so angry that he gritted his teeth, and his hatred for Xu Liang deepened. Looking at his despairing father, his heart ached. Blood is thicker than water. Even if they haven't seen each other for 7 years, the love between father and son is still deep. He opened his mouth, ready to tell the reason, but after hesitating for a long time, he took it back. I was afraid that if I told my father that everything was because of him, a filial son, he would be pissed to death. As for asking him to apologize to Xu Liang and pray for him to let the Mu family go, it's impossible to kill him. In the final analysis, he has not yet reached a truly desperate situation. He still has a way to rise. That is the new energy battery technology he is about to complete. If the Mu family goes bankrupt, they will go bankrupt. Once the technology is completed, he will create a Mu family that can compete with the Xu family. It's not that bad. He has already arranged the equipment, and it will not take long for him to perfect the technology. Xu Liang, I have recorded this grudge, and I will pay it back thousands of times. After making a vow in his heart, he helped Mu Feng up. Dad, the current predicament is only temporary. Trust me, everything will be fine. Mu Feng was unmoved after hearing this. Get better. Easier said than done. It was the Xu family who targeted them. Without the Xu family taking action, others would suppress and exclude them. Want to go back to the past? It's simply impossible. Mu Bai didn't say anything more and decided to wait until the technology was developed before giving him a surprise. Night, Shu Liang came to Tang Xin's house. This violent policewoman would send him messages every day. Shu Liang thought she was Huan Sao without radicals. If he didn't teach him a lesson, he would think he was going to heaven. A shocking battle started. Tang Xin was a decent person, representing justice, and wanted to defeat the villain Shu Liang. However, the strength gap was too great, and in front of the villain, the decent people could only be beaten. The decent people were defeated, but the villains were getting braver and braver. After a cry of surprise, Tang Xin had no strength to fight again and ended by begging for mercy. Ding! Mu Bai hates you to the bone, villain value plus 987. The voice in his mind made him raise his eyebrows. Tisk. It's not easy. It rarely exceeded 800 before, but now it can explode so much at once. He picked up his phone, which was a video about Mu Bai. Shu Liang always attaches great importance to the protagonist. Not only Mu Bai, but also Lin Hao, he arranged people to monitor them. He doesn't allow any accidents to happen. The video records what happened after Mu Bai was kicked out of the Mu family. He was going to take Mu Feng to a rental house, but the landlord had already taken the house away and would not rent it to him. Mu Bai gritted his teeth, it was too much. He wanted to stay in a hotel, but he didn't have any money on him, and his card had been frozen and was useless. He wanted to stay at his best friend's house, but after thinking about it, he decided not to go, because it would bring him trouble. With no choice, he came to the park and planned to stay here for one night. His hatred for Shu Liang deepened. However, not long after he lay down on the chair, a group of homeless people surrounded him again. I went out to beg for food, and my house was robbed. Beat me. The father and son were beaten and kicked out of the park again. Interesting. Shu Liang couldn't help laughing and continued to watch. An hour later, Mu Bai and his friend finally found a dilapidated park without homeless people. Due to the successive blows, they haven't eaten yet, and their stomachs are growling with hunger. They had no money, so they went to a restaurant to order leftovers, but no one paid attention to them. When they passed by a trash can, there was an expired bread lying on the ground, and Mu Bai reached out to pick it up. At this time, a dog suddenly appeared and picked up the bread. After a meal of entanglement, he finally won and grabbed the bread. It was really a fight with a dog. Miserable, how can it be described with just one word? Talent. Shu Liang sighed. He was not talking about Mu Bai and his son, but was praising the people who monitored them. He just ordered not to let them live a good life, but he didn't expect to do this. He is a talent and worth cultivating. Putting down the phone, Shu Liang had no mercy in his heart. He must strike hard against these protagonists. Otherwise, it is likely that he will end up like that. The next day, Tang Xin, the captain of the criminal police team, asked for leave. A bunch of colleagues sent messages of concern, but they didn't know that the policewoman in their eyes was unable to get out of bed. Go to Betrayal. Shu Liang got on his own car and said where he was going. Looking at the message on his phone, a faint smile appeared on his face. After doing so much, it was time for him to show up. Betrayal. Chen Zhangjia was taking the patient's pulse. There were only a few senior executives of Betrayal in the ward, that is, a few old Chinese medicine practitioners. Oh, and Lin Hao. They watched silently, not daring to breathe, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. After taking the pulse, Chen Zhangjia pursed her lips and her face became a little paler. The patient's breath was getting weaker and weaker. Last night, the people in Betrayal didn't sleep all night. Those who read classics, and those who checked information, just to find a way to treat the patient. Until now, nothing has been achieved. Chen Zhangjia is really desperate. Is there really no hope for the revival of Chinese medicine? She couldn't help but think desperately. Zhangjia, you didn't tell me when you got into trouble. You don't treat me as a friend. At this moment, a gentle and easygoing voice sounded in her ears. Chen Zhangjia was startled when she heard it, and looked back, and saw Shu Liang came here at some point. Mr. Shu. Her eyes lit up, and then dimmed again. A day passed, and the Heping Hospital was hyped up again. It can be said that their Betrayal has become famous throughout the country and the world. Even if Shu Liang was asked for help, there was no way. The popularity was too high and it couldn't be suppressed at all. The only way now is to cure the patient and let all the rumors fall apart. Thank you for your kindness, Mr. Shu. Shu Liang is still willing to come to Betrayal to find her, which shows his affection. Chen Zhangjia expressed her gratitude. An idea suddenly emerged in her mind. It's good that Betrayal is closed, and she doesn't have to fight for the revitalization of traditional Chinese medicine. Maybe she can find a love of her own. Thinking about it, she suddenly felt much better and secretly looked at Shu Liang. He has a handsome face, a perfect figure, and a noble temperament. He is simply the best candidate for a partner. Zhangjia, do you believe me? Shu Liang smiled at her. Chen Zhangjia was stunned, and was warmed by the smile. She nodded without hesitation. Well, I will help you cure the person. What? Chen Zhangjia didn't react at all. The several old Chinese medicine practitioners next to her were also extremely shocked. Could it be that this famous young master Shu actually knows medical skills? Lin Hao also heard Shu Liang's words and sneered, with a face full of disbelief. I can't do it myself, but Shu Liang can cure it. Moreover, Shu Liang is about the same age as him, and he has the strength of a master of Huajin. Could it be that his medical skills are also very powerful? Are you kidding? Lin Hao did not go up to stop him, just waiting to see the joke. Shu Liang came to the patient, picked up a set of silver needles, and pierced the patient. Is this Tai magic needle? Seeing the acupuncture method used by Shu Liang, Lin Hao's pupils shrank sharply, and his eyes were full of horror. But he still didn't believe that he could cure people. Although he didn't know where Shu Liang learned Tai magic needle, he had tried it and it didn't work for this disease. As Shu Liang stretched out his hand and touched the silver needles, all the silver needles began to tremble, which was much simpler and easier than Lin Hao's one by one. Now several old Chinese medicine practitioners also saw that Shu Liang was performing Tai magic needle. However, because of Lin Hao's previous incident, they were very calm and didn't lose their composure like before. How excited they were at that time, how disappointed they were later. The most shocked was Chen Zhangjia. She didn't expect that. This elegant and rich young man actually knew medical skills, and his attainments were not low, even Tai magic needle. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. 5 minutes passed. The silver needle stopped vibrating, and everyone was a little disappointed to see that the patient was still motionless. They thought it was useless again. Just after Shu Liang put the silver needle away, a miracle happened. The patient, who was originally like a vegetative person, moved his fingers slightly. Then the patient's brows relaxed and slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, the whole audience was speechless. After a moment of silence, there was an uproar at the scene. It turned out, it was really cured. Several old Chinese medicine practitioners came forward to take the pulse and were surprised to find that the patient's symptoms disappeared and her exhausted body functions were getting better. My God, it's really cured, her body is recovering. That's the real Tai magic needle. Oh my God, what did I miss? Quote. After checking that the patient was fine, several old Chinese medicine practitioners were completely stunned. They beat their chests and stamped their feet, regretting that they didn't watch Shu Liang's acupuncture seriously just now. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but stare at Lin Hao viciously. It's all his fault. Previously, he had used a fake Tai divine needle to make them happy for nothing. Now he had caused them to miss out on the real Tai divine needle. Lin Hao's reaction was even stronger. He pushed away several old Chinese medicine doctors to diagnose the patient's pulse. The problem of blood boiling is gone and body functions are returning. This is exactly the effect of Tai divine needle. Why, his Tai divine needle works. Your own has no effect at all. Could it be that the Tai divine acupuncture I learned is fake? Lin Hao himself couldn't help but start to doubt. Ding! Lin Hao doubts life, villain value plus 999. Looking at the confused Lin Hao, Shu Liang found it interesting. Lin Hao's Tai magic needle is of course real. As for why his Tai divine needle worked, of course it was because he used the antidote. When he picked up the silver needle, he took out the antidote from his pocket and covered it on the silver needle. He has many powerful acupuncture techniques, but he still chooses Tai divine acupuncture. just to see what Lin Hao looks like. He was not disappointed, and Lin Hao had begun to doubt the authenticity of his acupuncture technique. He came to Chen Zhangjia. Playing with the protagonist can only be considered fun, his goal is the female protagonist. Don't tell me if you have trouble next time. The smile on Shu Liang's face was still as bright as spring breeze. Chen Zhangjia's face was full of excitement. Unexpectedly, Shu Liang really saved the person. Doesn't that mean Beikeotang's trouble has been solved? Wiping her eyes, she was so excited that she cried. Only she knows how much pressure she has faced these 2 days. Seeing Shu Liang looking at her, she nodded shyly and responded in a low voice. Her body had been in a tense state before, but now that she was rescued, her whole body relaxed. The aftereffects of a night's sleepless nights also appeared, and I felt my eyes go dark, and I was about to fall down when I stumbled. Suddenly, a warm embrace caught her. You're too tired, take a rest. An unparalleled sense of security came over her, and she just leaned into Shu Liang's arms without breaking away. Lin Hao came out of his daze and became furious when he saw this scene. Let go of senior sister. Let go of senior sister. Hearing the sound, Chen Zhangjia woke up. Feeling everyone's gaze, she blushed and quickly got out of Shu Liang's arms. Lin Hao was so angry that his teeth itched. Shu Liang was so unpredictable that he hugged the senior sister in his arms without even noticing. We must be more prepared in the future. Seeing the pleased looks from several elders, Chen Zhangjia wanted to find a hole in the ground and crawl into it. Just as he was about to divert his attention, he saw Lin Hao beside him. What are you yelling about? It's all his fault, why tell me? Let yourself be so embarrassed. As for whether she misses Shu Liang's warm embrace, only she knows. Lin Hao, blame me. If I didn't yell, you don't know how much more Shu Liang would take advantage of you. After scolding Lin Hao, Chen Zhangjia felt better, and then looked at Shu Liang with burning eyes. Mr. Shu, did you just use the Tai Divine Needle? Shu Liang raised his eyebrows. Want to learn? I'll teach you. Chen Zhangjia was startled. I recalled the Tai Divine Needle used by Shu Liang. It was slightly different from what she saw from her master, and the technique was simpler. If Shu Liang is willing to teach her, maybe she can really learn it. But that is the Tai Divine Needle, which can bring human flesh and bones to life. Thinking that Shu Liang was willing to teach her such an important acupuncture technique, warmth filled her heart. Several old Chinese medicine doctors on the side were filled with envy, and they all shouted in their hearts. I want to learn too, teach me. They all wish they could transform into beauties. Ooh, at this moment, they were attracted by a sound of crying. It turned out to be Liao Ping, who had just been cured, and was breaking down and crying. Then, she came to Shu Liang and knelt down with a plop. Thanks to Shu Liang for saving his life. For more than a day, no one knew how much pain she suffered. The body felt like it was in a furnace, as if it would be burned alive in the next moment. Physical pain is secondary. The pain in her soul was what made her most desperate. Although she was unconscious, she could sense what was happening outside, just like a vegetative state. When she fainted, the people from Beikeotang couldn't save her. She cursed 1,000 times in her heart. When people from Heping Hospital arrived, hope arose in her heart. After being picked up, she learned that they could not cure her, and she despaired. And when she heard that she had a new disease and that those people wanted to use her as a guinea pig for research, she was extremely angry. I'll do something for you and frame Beikao Hall. It's okay if you don't cure me, but you still treat me as a guinea pig. However, no matter how angry she was, there was nothing she could do. She couldn't move at all. It seemed that there was only one outcome waiting for her. That is death. This feeling of being unable to do anything but waiting to die is the most painful. Later, she heard that people from Heping Hospital sent her back to Beikeotang to make her death have the last value. She was even more furious. Gradually, she felt her consciousness sinking into darkness. Just when she thought she was going to die, she suddenly saw a light. She was rescued. She could not thank Shu Liang enough for his life-saving grace. Little did she know that all the pain she encountered was caused by the benefactor in front of her. What is your relationship with Heping Hospital? Shu Liang asked with a calm expression. Liao Ping reacted and quickly told everything, like pouring beans into a bamboo tube without concealing anything. Heping Hospital treated her like this, wishing all those people would die. Several old Chinese medicine doctors were so angry that they blew their beards and stared. Although they had already guessed it, they still couldn't help but feel angry when they heard it with their own ears. Chen Zhangjia bit her lips tightly, her face turned livid, she was obviously very angry. Suddenly, someone held her hand. Looking sideways, she saw Shu Liang looking at her tenderly. "Don't worry, leave it to me." Chen Zhangjia's heart trembled, and she felt that the softness in her heart was touched. Lin Hao on the side was also gnashing his teeth, blaming the Peace Hospital. If they hadn't arranged for someone to cause trouble, how could he have made a fool of himself in front of senior sister? It has become a joke on the internet. He vowed to make Peace Hospital look good. As soon as he sentenced the Peace Hospital to death, he suddenly discovered a blind spot. Shu Liang was seen holding one of Chen Zhangjia's hands, and the two looked at each other lovingly. Lin Hao's face became increasingly gloomy, his fists were clenched, and veins popped out on his arms. At this time, others in Betrayal who were guarding outside heard the movement inside and wanted to come in and take a look. They were shocked to find that the patient who had been lying on the hospital bed and had been sentenced to death stood up. "Shopkeeper, they really succeeded in curing the person." Soon, the ward was filled with people. Someone couldn't help but ask, "Shopkeeper, what's going on? Is the patient rescued?" Chen Zhangjia was about to explain, but Shu Liang spoke first. To be precise, it was shopkeeper Chen who cured the person. Swish, swish, swish. All eyes turned to him. Including Chen Zhangjia, all looked stunned. Shu Liang smiled slightly and continued. "In fact, these days, shopkeeper Chen has been blaming himself for not curing the patient and has been studying the condition." Wow! As soon as the voice fell, the whole audience was in an uproar. What? The shopkeeper didn't sleep for several days and nights to study the condition. As expected of the shopkeeper, this spirit of not giving up on every patient is admirable. "From now on, I will live and die with Betrayal. Heping Hospital is really bad, I can't live with them." Quote. Everyone was moved by Chen Zhangjia, and their eyes were full of admiration when they looked at her. This wave can be said to have won the hearts of Chen Zhangjia. In the future, they will work harder for Betrayal. Chen Zhangjia, who am I? Where am I? What should I do? She was confused. Just as she was about to speak, Shu Liang winked at her and shut her mouth again. Several old Chinese medicine practitioners were also at a loss. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes just now, they would have really believed what Shu Liang said. They looked back and forth between Shu Liang and Chen Zhangjia, as if thinking about something. Shu Liang was going to give the opportunity to become famous to Chen Zhangjia. It's true that heroes are reluctant to be seduced by beautiful women. And Lin Hao was already shaking with anger at this time. What a good Shu Liang, he was really calculating. Give the opportunity to become famous to the senior sister, and let her be the miracle doctor who cured the patient. In this way, she is the shopkeeper of Betrayal, and Betrayal will not only not be suppressed, but will also be reborn from the ashes. The senior sister's lifelong wish is to revive Chinese medicine, and Shu Liang did it in a few words. Wouldn't she be moved to death? Ding! Lin Hao is angry with you, villain value plus 999. Shu Liang's face was very calm. Being famous is too easy for him, he has no interest in it. Being famous will only disturb his life, it is totally thankless. Pushing Chen Zhangjia out is also part of his strategy. It is indeed very effective. You can see it from Chen Zhangjia's eyes at this time. The deep affection is about to melt. Shu Liang continued to proceed according to the plan. He let Liao Ping go out first, and the media reporters who were waiting outside surrounded her. Betrayal has been closed for a long time. Now someone finally came out. How could they let him go? When he got closer, the reporter was stunned and felt a little familiar. Why does it look like that patient? The incident between Chinese medicine and Western medicine has caused such a big fuss, just because of a patient. In the past 2 days, someone has already found out all the information of the patient. I am Liao Ping. When she said her name, there was a commotion at the scene. They finally confirmed that this was really the patient. Strange, didn't they say she was going to die? How could she suddenly be alive and kicking? Then, Liao Ping explained the whole story to the camera. Starting from her going to Heping Hospital for a checkup, she was asked to frame Beikeotang on the condition of curing her. She also took out the evidence of the checkup at Beikeotang. Then she talked about what happened during her coma. In fact, she was still conscious after she fell into a coma. Seeing that they couldn't cure her, Heping Hospital decided to use her as a guinea pig. At this point, her tone was full of hatred for Heping Hospital. A group of reporters hurriedly took notes. Their keen sense of smell had already sensed that this was definitely big news. Shocking reversal. Heping Hospital framed Beikeotang. Beikeotang couldn't cure her, so Heping Hospital took her away. In the end, they couldn't cure her either, so they sent her back. In the end, the person from Beikeotang was cured. Excuse me, who cured you? Someone asked excitedly. Beikeotang cured her, which means that Chinese medicine won in this invisible confrontation. Facts speak louder than words. Lu Nang's previous disparagement of Heping Hospital seemed so ridiculous. It was Chen, the shopkeeper of Beikeotang. Liao Ping replied. Everyone was shocked. They were all familiar with the beautiful doctor. Unexpectedly, it was she who cured her. But it was strange. They had seen the video before, and Chen, the shopkeeper, seemed to have never taken action. At this time, Liao Ping continued. In order to cure me, shopkeeper Chen studied the condition for 3 days and 3 nights. According to Xu Liang's request, she pushed all the credit to Chen Zhangjia and even wrote a script. Wow, a stone stirs up 1,000 waves. A group of people asked for details like crazy and quickly sent notes to the company editor, hoping to release the news before other companies. Not long after, the relevant news spread on the internet. A shocking reversal, Beikeotang cured the patient. In this duel between Chinese and Western medicine, Chinese medicine won. The inside story of the Beikeotang incident, everything was done by Heping Hospital. Shocked, Heping Hospital went back on its word and actually treated the patients as guinea pigs. Shopkeeper Chen did not give up on any patient and studied the condition for 3 days and 3 nights. She is a contemporary female doctor with both medical skills and beauty. The turmoil in Beikeotang was very fierce, and many people were paying attention to this matter. Therefore, when the news came out, it soon became a hot search. I thought Beikeotang was doomed, but I didn't expect there would be such a reversal. It's simply against the will of heaven. Heping Hospital is so shameless, sending people to frame, no martial ethics at all. Ha ha ha, it's so satisfying. They wanted to bring down Beikeotang, but ended up losing more than they gained. Manager Chen is so YYDS, he studied the condition for 3 days and 3 nights. It moved my brothers and sisters. Heping Hospital sent the person back, which shows that the person is already beyond help, but Manager Chen still cured the person. The female doctor is worthy of the name. Quote. After learning the truth, the internet exploded immediately. Heping Hospital. Dr. Lu, something bad has happened. A panicked voice came over. Lu Nang had just finished receiving instruction from a foreign medical professor and came out of the office. Hearing the voice, he couldn't help but frowned and scolded. Why are you yelling? The man came up to him and handed him his phone. What? After reading the news, Lu Nang's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. Did Beikeotang really cure that patient? How is that possible? They had tried many treatments but none of them worked, and concluded that she would die. Now she was cured. It was such a slap in the face. Seeing what Liao Ping said, pointing out that it was arranged by their hospital, his face turned ashen. Now the online public opinion was overwhelming their Heping Hospital, and he couldn't sit still. At this time, he had to stand up and clear his relationship, otherwise Heping Hospital would be finished. Soon he asked the news media for an interview. During the interview, he said that what Liao Ping said was all slander, and decisively denied the practice of framing Beikeotang. He also said that their hospital had a great contribution to the patient's recovery. Seeing his far-fetched explanation, many people didn't buy it, but they couldn't do anything about it. At this time, some dark secrets about Heping Hospital were exposed and circulated on the internet. Halfway through the operation, the patient is asked to increase the medical expenses, and fake medicine is given to the patient. If the slightest problem is cancer, the operation is necessary. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. This is simply a black-hearted hospital. For a time, Hepping Hospital was denounced by the entire internet. Not long after, relevant departments came to the door. After investigation, it was confirmed that the incident was true. Many doctors were imprisoned. Betrayal. Seeing the ending of Hepping Hospital, Chen Zhangjia let out a long breath. Thank you. She looked at Xu Liang, her eyes full of gratitude. He was the one who just issued the order to investigate Hepping Hospital, expose the shady story, and let them be punished. What Chen Zhangjia will never know is, Xu Liang arranged it from beginning to end, and Hepping Hospital was just a pawn in his hands. Thank me, it's not just words. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows at her. Chen Zhangjia was stunned. Just when she was confused and about to ask, Xu Liang pointed to her cheek. The meaning is self-evident. Chen Zhangjia's face turned red immediately. She still didn't understand that she was letting herself kiss him. Logically speaking, they had kissed each other before, just a kiss. But that was all Xu Liang's initiative. It's really embarrassing for her to take the initiative now. Her heartbeat was racing and her palms were sweating from nervousness. I looked around and saw no one, but I still didn't dare. Finally, she summoned up the courage to stand on her tiptoes, ready for a quick kiss. Just as she was approaching, Xu Liang turned his head slightly. Well, Chen Zhangjia's eyes widened. Only then did she realize that she had been tricked, but she was already addicted to it and had no time to think about it. When Lin Hao came to find Chen Zhangjia, he saw such a scene. On-site mass wall separation. Ding! Lin Hao's mentality exploded, villain value plus 1000. Chapter 31. Chen Zhangjia didn't notice someone coming, and was still immersed in it, unable to extricate herself. Lin Hao's eyes were red with anger, and he was even more furious when he saw that the two people treated him as heir. Big sister, he shouted loudly, and only then did Chen Zhangjia come back to her senses. Her face was flushed, and she couldn't help but think of her tongue just now. It was too embarrassing. Xu Liang had a smile on his lips, and he couldn't help smacking his lips when he saw Lin Hao staring at him fiercely. As if to say, it tastes good. Lin Hao, his face was stiff and his breath was cold. In order to hide the embarrassment, Chen Zhangjia directly treated him as heir and walked out of the room with Xu Liang. Outside the room, the people of Betrayal were cheering. Seeing that Hepping Hospital ended up like this, everyone felt very relieved. Seeing Chen Zhangjia coming, the scene became quiet, and the eyes looking at her were full of admiration. The shopkeeper hid it too deeply. It was said that Chen Zhangjia was the most beautiful doctor in the world, the most beautiful female doctor. They worked in Betrayal and were proud of it. Chen Zhangjia gave a few instructions, and the storm was over, and Betrayal could open for business. This caused a cheer from the crowd. One wave has not settled, another wave has risen. That afternoon, Chen Zhangjia just woke up from a good rest and received an invitation. It turned out that several large hospitals in Shanghai had united to hold an exchange meeting between Chinese and Western medicine. They invited a number of Chinese medicine clinics headed by her Betrayal. The reason was of course that Hepping Hospital failed in this confrontation. Not only did it fail to suppress Betrayal, but it also got itself involved. After this storm, the popularity of Chinese medicine was pushed to the peak. Many people who were sick admired Chinese medicine treatment, while their Western medicine was scolded like dogs. So, these hospitals decided to unite. It was to prove the Western medicine and to get the factory back for Hepping Hospital. Chen Zhangjia looked unhappy. If she really cured the patient and knew Tai magic needle, she would not be afraid of these people looking for trouble. But she would not. Her complexion did not improve much until the evening when she had dinner with Xu Liang. Xu Liang had known about the troubles she had encountered. But he still pretended to be puzzled and asked, "You seem to be worried, what's wrong?" Chen Zhangjia smiled and told her about the invitation to participate in the exchange meeting of Chinese and Western medicine. "I thought something happened. You can just go and participate when the time comes." Chen Zhangjia smiled bitterly. In fact, she was quite confident. Some difficult and complicated diseases she had encountered before were cured under her treatment. But this time, she realized her shortcomings. She still had a lot to learn. "They are obviously coming for me this time. I am a little unsure. If only I had your medical skills. She looked at Shu Liang with some admiration. It was still hard for her to believe that Shu Liang, a son of a big family, had such high achievements in medical skills. Didn't I tell you that I would teach you? 3 days is enough. Seeing the confidence on Shu Liang's face, Chen Zhangjia was a little dazed. After dinner, seeing that she was absent-minded, Shu Liang did not tease her interest. He said see you tomorrow and left. Shu Liang went to find his other women. He couldn't ignore other women just because of the heroine. He had to comfort them one by one. The chance of pregnancy is reduced. Then come a few more times, strive for more children and more blessings. Looking at the car shadow going away, Chen Zhangjia's ears echoed with Shu Liang's words before leaving. Some trepidation, but also some expectation. Lin Hao, who was secretly peeping, breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that the senior sister and Shu Liang are separated. He didn't know that tomorrow would be the beginning of his nightmare. If his nightmare hadn't started yet, then Mubai was in a nightmare. Last night he stayed in a bridge hole, and the food he ate was picked up from the trash can. He was worse than a dog. In the morning they were so hungry that they were ready to have a free meal, even if they had to wash the dishes. But seeing their appearance, the restaurant didn't entertain them at all. For lunch, Mubai went to the school cafeteria and brought back the leftovers. This made Mubai want to develop the new battery technology as soon as possible, in addition to his resentment towards Shu Liang. In the afternoon he went to the school's own research institute, and found his best friends to work hard on research. After reading Mubai's news today, Shu Liang put down his phone with a smile in his eyes. That's right, what you should do. The next day, when they woke up in the morning, many people found that several news about Chinese and Western medicine appeared on the hot search. Several major hospitals jointly initiated and will hold a Chinese and Western medicine exchange meeting in Shanghai. It is called an exchange meeting, but in fact it is just a competition. It has become a hot search in such a short time, there must be someone behind the scenes. The storm of Baekotang has just ended, and another round of storm is coming. Baekotang, those people still don't give up. Are they going to unite to suppress our Baekotang? It's still a Chinese and Western medicine exchange meeting. If you don't like the rise of Chinese medicine, just say it directly. It's really hypocritical. Don't panic, we have Manager Chen, they are just asking for trouble. Quote. Everyone was very optimistic. The cure of the terminally ill patient, coupled with the boasting on the internet, made them have a blind confidence in Chen Zhangjia. At this time, they were happily busy. After yesterday's reversal, Baekotang became completely famous. Unlike the previous fame caused by being scolded, now it is almost praised to the sky. More people came here because of its reputation. Some came to join in the fun, and some patients came to seek medical treatment. Baekotang was busy. I came to see the female doctor. Didn't she say she was in Baekotang? Why didn't I see her? Hey, look, isn't that Lin Rishan? My idol. Some people saw Lin Hao who was busy with the work, and walked over as if they saw an idol. Idol, wait, Lin Hao was assigned by Chen Zhangjia to help distribute medicinal materials. He was a little tearful. With his medical skills, he was actually assigned to do these chores. Suddenly, he saw someone shouting and walking towards him, and he was a little confused. Are you calling me? Of course, Brother Do, my idol, can you teach me a few tricks? Quote. Lin Hao was confused. What does Brother Do mean? Brother Do is the nickname we fans give you. How did you make those silver needles tremble all the time? Teach me. After seeing your operation, my girlfriend insisted that I come to learn from you. Lin Hao. Baekotang also has a back door. Unlike the crowded front door, few people know about the back door, and it is a bit deserted. Chen Zhangjia stood at the door, seemingly waiting for someone. The people in Baekotang believed in her, which made her smile bitterly. I don't even believe myself. Now the only hope is Shu Liang. Thinking of his confident words yesterday, Chen Zhangjia couldn't help but look forward to it. As for Lin Hao, he completely ignored her. Lin Hao was shocked to learn that he had become an internet celebrity, Doge. I was performing Tai magic needle, not acrobatics, not even teddy bear. After sending the fan away, he was so angry that he went to the quieter back door to relax. Seeing Chen Zhangjia standing at the door, he asked with some confusion. "Senior sister, what are you doing here? Waiting for someone?" Chen Zhangjia didn't even look at him, and was very frugal with her words. Waiting for whom could it be? As soon as the thought came to his mind, a Rolls-Royce slowly drove up and stopped at the door. Chen Zhangjia smiled and greeted it. Sure enough, he saw Shu Liang, the guy he hated, appear. Chen Zhangjia brought Shu Liang to her office on the second floor. "What are you doing here?" Seeing Lin Hao also coming, Chen Zhangjia frowned and said coldly. Lin Hao was speechless and looked at Shu Liang warily. "Could it be that I came here to protect you because I was afraid that you would be deceived by Shu Liang? Okay, so many people came today, you go downstairs to help." Chen Zhangjia was about to close the door. Lin Hao hurriedly said, "Since you are too busy, why don't you go? I have more important things to do." Chen Zhangjia looked a little unhappy. "What are you going to do, a man and a woman?" Lin Hao asked. At this time, Shu Liang chuckled and suddenly interrupted. "Zhangjia, are you sure he is your junior brother? He seems to be a bit too controlling." Chen Zhangjia also had this idea. "When did I need him to ask about my own affairs? Mr. Shu, is there a problem with teaching me medical skills?" After saying that, he closed the door with a bang. Standing alone outside the office, Lin Hao gritted his teeth. Shu Liang was obviously trying to alienate him from his senior sister. Too despicable. Ding. Lin Hao is angry with you. Villain value plus 666. Shu Liang's eyes flashed. It's time for this protagonist to get out. Chen Zhangjia is about to be taken down by him, and he doesn't want a protagonist to hang around his woman. What expression would he have if Chen Zhangjia kicked him out? He seemed to have thought of another interesting idea. Chen Zhangjia's office. Inside is a one-to-one restored mannequin for her to practice acupuncture on weekdays. Shu Liang also started his first teaching career. Of course, except for teaching on the bed. Teaching Chen Zhangjia medical skills is not just to capture her, but also to cultivate her. He has so many women, and of course he has family around him. Does he have to take care of her personally if she gets sick? Just like when Lu Ruolin was pregnant, he didn't have to prepare the medicine to keep her pregnant. Having a woman who knows medicine will save a lot of trouble. And it is also a rewarding thing to train a female doctor. Chen Zhangjia knows most of the common medical knowledge, Shu Liang only needs to teach her acupuncture. His medical skills are god level, and he knows how to use these acupuncture methods. He first explained the theoretical knowledge to her and asked her to practice on a dummy. Chen Zhangjia picked up the needle, not knowing which acupuncture point to start with. At this time, Shu Liang hugged her from behind. Chen Zhangjia trembled and almost cried out, only to feel the strong masculine scent lingering around her nose. Shu Liang also smelled a faint herbal fragrance, which matched her body fragrance very well. Hold steady. Seeing her hand holding the needle trembling, Shu Liang held her hand from behind and began to teach her step by step. Chen Zhangjia's face flushed, and she was extremely shy. After the first hour, she made mistakes every time because she was absent-minded. Shu Liang also held her like this and taught her for an hour. Gradually, she began to adapt and was guided by Shu Liang to give acupuncture without any mistakes. In a blink of an eye, a whole morning passed. Shu Liang and Chen Zhangjia, a man and a woman, stayed in the room for a whole morning. This made Lin Hao outside anxious. Just when he couldn't help but want to rush in, the door suddenly opened. Shu Liang and Chen Zhangjia walked out together. Both of them looked normal. Shu Liang didn't care at all, and Chen Zhangjia was used to it. It was faintly visible that she was happy. After Shu Liang's hands-on teaching for a whole morning, she has mastered the acupuncture skills. She no longer doubted that Shu Liang could help her master the acupuncture in 3 days. Lin Hao looked back and forth between the two. Chen Zhangjia did not lose her virginity. Strange, a man and a woman alone in a room, are they really teaching? Afternoon. It was still the same office. Shu Liang and Chen Zhangjia never came out after entering. Lin Hao has already thought of several versions. Female doctor in the office. I teach the female doctor how to give acupuncture. Female doctor did this to learn. The more he thought about it, the more uneasy Lin Hao felt, and he felt that he was being cheated on. Unable to bear this torture, he had knocked on the door several times, and each time he was scolded by Chen Zhangjie. Lin Hao was even more confused. Chen Zhangjie would open the door, which meant that they did nothing. But he didn't believe Shu Liang would really be so honest. It has to be said that the one who knows you best is your enemy, and this is really true. The second day was still the same. Lin Hao was going crazy. What on earth were Shu Liang and the senior sister doing in there? On the third day, Lin Hao thought of a way. It turned out that there was a forest not far away, facing the window door of Chen Zhangjie's office. Holding a telescope that he got from nowhere, Lin Hao climbed up the tree and began to observe. In the office, Chen Zhangjie was talking to Shu Liang, and then Shu Liang began to teach him step by step. Seeing this, Lin Hao's hand trembled and the telescope almost fell. This posture, if they were not wearing clothes, I would have thought they were doing something. Even so, this is not something that ordinary friends can do. He would believe that the two were lovers. Wait. In other words, they have been like this for the third day. 3 days, what else has Shu Liang not taken advantage of besides real swords and guns? Lin Hao was dumbfounded. When he thought that Shu Liang had almost eaten up the senior sister through a wall, he was so angry that his whole body was pounding. Ding. Lin Hao's plasmolysis, villain value plus 1000. Shu Liang, who was teaching Chen Zhangjie the Ghost Valley 13 needles, paused. Soon he felt a murderous gaze, frowned and looked. After washing his marrow and cutting his meridians, his eyesight was far superior to that of ordinary people. At a glance, he saw Lin Hao hanging on the tree like a monkey, holding a telescope. Is this a performance of acrobatics? In order to protect the heroine, he really did everything he could. But what can he do if he sees her? Shu Liang smiled slightly and moved closer, his chest against her back. Mr. Shu, why don't you move? Chen Zhangjie's puzzled voice came. She was a little impatient. After 2 days of hands-on teaching, she has learned the Tai Divine Needle. Now, she is about to learn a new needle method. Guigu 13 needles is more powerful than Tai Divine Needle, and each needle is shocking. It is said that it can snatch people from the hands of the King of Hell. She never expected that Shu Liang would actually do it. What else can't he do? This man is too charming, attracting her all the time. Okay, then let's start. Shu Liang taught seriously, Chen Zhangjie studied seriously, but Lin Hao was heartbroken. 1 day passed, and Lin Hao contributed a lot of villain points. Shu Liang discovered that the luck on top of his head had been reduced by 1/3. Hold on, little brother. If it has no use value, it will die. Unlike Lin Hao, who was heartbroken, Chen Zhangjie was extremely excited. Because she has already learned the 13 needles of Guigu. In 3 days, after Shu Liang's step-by-step teaching, she had mastered how to use needles skillfully. I even learned 2 kinds of acupuncture techniques. She is not worried at all about the exchange meeting held tomorrow. All this is due to Shu Liang. Shu Liang's help to her was much greater than that of her master, and she had nothing to repay. I really don't know how to thank you. Then just pledge yourself. The smile on Shu Liang's face was a little ambiguous. Chen Zhangjie's face turned slightly red, but she did not refuse. After 2 days of close contact, she had already identified Shu Liang. These are the foundations Shu Liang laid before. Chen Zhangjie is not a casual person. If it were anyone else, even if they could teach her these medical skills, they would not agree to teach her personally. Suddenly, her pretty face gradually turned red. When she was studying before, she was in a state of selflessness, but now she felt something strange. After hesitating for a moment, she mustered up her courage. You have helped me so much, let me help you too. She has great medical skills and is called the Goddess Doctor. She knows that it is bad for the body over time. Hiss, wait. Shu Liang pushed her hand away, came to the window, and closed the curtains. Next comes the paid content. Quote. Lin Hao lay on the tree in despair. Shu Liang taught Chen Zhangjie personally for a day, and he also hung on a tree for a day. Seeing Shu Liang taking advantage of his elder sister, he was heartbroken. Fortunately, the senior sister stuck to the bottom line and did not let Shu Liang succeed. Suddenly, he saw Chen Zhangjie blushing. Before he could see what was happening, Shu Liang came to the window and closed the curtains. An ominous premonition enveloped my heart. A man and a woman live together in the same room, with the curtains drawn. Combined with Chen Zhangjia's blush. Are they going to? Lin Hao couldn't sit still anymore. Throwing away the binoculars, he jumped down from the tree and ran towards Beicao Hall. But just in the middle, two middle-aged men stopped him. Feeling the aura emanating from them, Lin Hao's face became solemn. They turned out to be two peak masters of Anjin. Get out of the way. Lin Hao's eyes were cold. The two of them were silent, their bodies tensed, and they looked ready to fight. Lin Hao was extremely anxious when he thought that Xu Liang was about to have it with his senior sister. He stepped on the ground violently, and his body flew out like an arrow from a string. He planned to use speed to get rid of the entanglement between the two. It's a pity that the two of them were well prepared, blocked his path, and stood in front of him. Lin Hao's face darkened, knowing that this battle was inevitable. Seeing the two men attacking him, they punched him directly in the face and kicked him in the side. They cooperated tacitly. Each punch and kick is powerful and heavy. If he is hit, he will be half dead or half disabled. The best way to deal with the situation at hand was to avoid it, but Lin Hao was not afraid and faced the man forward. The three of them started fighting in this somewhat remote street. When Lin Hao defeated the two and escaped, it was already an hour and a half later. It wasn't easy to deal with the two of them. He was exhausted and panting from exhaustion. With no time to rest, he quickly ran towards Beicao Hall. When he arrived at Beicao and was about to go to the office, Xu Liang and Chen Zhangjia happened to go downstairs. His eyes immediately fell on Chen Zhangjia. His steps were steady, so nothing happened. He let out a long breath. It seemed that he was overthinking it. The senior sister did not let Xu Liang succeed. Wait. Lin Hao suddenly discovered Hua Dian. Chen Zhangjia's face turned red with embarrassment, and upon closer inspection, her lips were a little swollen. Boom. It was like 5 thunders struck him, and he was stunned. How could senior sister do such a thing? Ding. Lin Hao's mentality collapsed. Villain value plus 1000. Tisk. Xu Liang clicked his tongue. As expected of the protagonist. Two masters at the same level couldn't stop him. With a move in his heart, he reached out and took Chen Zhangjia into his arms. The sudden turn of events startled her. She felt relieved when she felt the familiar embrace. The warm embrace made her legs feel a little weak. After all, she had been kneeling for a long time. By now, Xu Liang can be said to have won the heroine. Just waiting to join the family and burst into gold coins. The reason why I haven't drawn my sword yet is just because the occasion is not suitable. Xu Liang knows her character. Chen Zhangjia's goal is to lead the rise of traditional Chinese medicine. After his operation 3 days ago, it was almost achieved. Now given her medical skills, this goal has basically been achieved. Just wait until tomorrow to show off your skills at the exchange meeting. The rise of traditional Chinese medicine is inevitable. Her wish since childhood is about to be fulfilled, which makes her feel a little relieved, and then there is the scene just now. In addition to the goal of reviving traditional Chinese medicine, Chen Zhangjia also yearns for a little romance. When tomorrow is over, Beicao will be famous all over the world, and her goal will be completely realized. Prepare a little surprise, and then it will come naturally. For his woman, Xu Liang is still quite patient. The premise is to be obedient. Directly ignoring Lin Hao, Chen Zhangjia sent Xu Liang outside. Will you come to the scene tomorrow? Seeing Xu Liang get in the car, she asked with some expectation. Xu Liang pretended to be hesitant, and just when Chen Zhangjia was a little nervous, he smiled slightly. Since you performed well today, I will reluctantly come to see you. Swish. Chen Zhangjia's face flushed with a swish. Thinking about what happened just now, she still blushed and her heart beat fast. She didn't know why she did that. She was planning to use her hands, but before she knew it, she knelt in front of Xu Liang. The 3-day deadline has come. The Chinese and Western Medicine Exchange Conference was held as scheduled. As the 3 days went by, this exchange conference caused a stir on the internet and attracted the attention of the whole nation. This is a showdown between Chinese and Western medicine. No matter who wins, the other side will suffer a serious blow. The venue is the Magic City Central Square. People were waiting outside early, and there was endless discussion. I still believe in Western medicine. Chinese medicine's pulse diagnosis is really unreliable. Anyway, I always support Chinese medicine. It is our Kyushu's heritage for thousands of years. Isn't it better than Western medicine's hundreds of years of history? I don't care about that. I came for the female doctor. I thought that the powerful Chinese medicine practitioners were all old men in their 70s and 80s. It wasn't until I saw the female doctor that I realized I was wrong. I was wrong. The female doctor is the idol who is truly worthy of admiration. She promotes Kyushu culture. Isn't she better than those who shake their butts? Quote. Quote. There are more and more people outside the square. If the police hadn't set up a cordon, they would have rushed in. At 9 o'clock, doctors began to enter the venue. Look, that's the director of the Cross Hospital. I haven't seen him in the hospital before. I didn't expect him to come in person. It seems that they attach great importance to this exchange meeting. That's the vice president of the Holy Mother Hospital. If the director hadn't gone abroad to study, he might have come. And Mary Hospital, Mashung Hospital. They are all large foreign hospitals. If they join together, how can Chinese medicine win? Hiss. Did you see it? The heads of these hospitals are like students, following those two foreign old men obediently. I just checked. One of the two old men is Smith and the other is Andre. They are both masters in the medical field and have won countless medical awards. The first to enter was the initiator of this Chinese and Western medicine exchange meeting. It felt a little strange to see the heads of these hospitals following the two old men. After checking, they found that they were big men in the medical field. Everyone was stunned. Then it was the turn of the Chinese medicine side to appear. Everyone found that they didn't know any of the people who appeared. Compared to the sensation when the Western medicine doctor appeared, the scene was much smaller. Among them were middle-aged and old people, and the youngest was in his 40s. They were representatives of several Chinese medicine clinics in Shanghai. Although they knew that they were just here to make up the numbers, they were willing to contribute to Chinese medicine. Until Chen Zhangjia appeared. In order to facilitate treatment, she was dressed more simply today, a shirt and jeans. Even so, it caused a great sensation. Is this the female doctor? Too beautiful, right? Finally I see the real person. Did you notice? The real person is even more beautiful than the one in the video. Love it. If Chinese medicine wins this exchange meeting, the rise of Western medicine will not be suppressed at all. I look forward to the female doctor showing her skills. Quote. Ignoring the eyes and discussions of the people around her, Chen Zhangjia glanced around. Not seeing the familiar figure, she was a little disappointed. Today is the moment when her dream comes true, and she hopes Xu Liang can see it. After calming down, she retracted her gaze and led the people from Betrayal into the venue. After both parties entered, it was the audience's turn. They would witness this grand event. These were not ordinary people. There were corporate executives, company bosses, government officials, all of them were upper-class people. After they entered, the crowd started talking again. They couldn't go in, so they all took out their phones to watch the live broadcast. A figure appeared in the crowd. Lin Hao felt very aggrieved. After knowing what happened between the senior sister and Xu Liang, he didn't feel good at all. He was depressed for a whole night and blamed himself. He didn't blame the senior sister. The senior sister was so beautiful, what was wrong with that? It was all Xu Liang's fault. The senior sister must have been deceived by him. It was also his fault that he knew Xu Liang had bad intentions but had no ability to stop him. Knowing today's exchange meeting, he found Chen Zhangjia and said that he would represent Betrayal to participate. He wanted to show off his talent at this exchange meeting and prove it to the senior sister. However, Chen Zhangjia did not give him a chance and rejected him on the spot. Chen Zhangjia had already lost trust in him. In order to prevent him from causing trouble, he was directly ignored when selecting the representative of Betrayal. Lin Hao was dumbfounded. He was a miracle doctor, but he was not in such a pretentious occasion. He didn't even have the qualifications to enter the venue. He looked at the surrounding walls and fell into deep thought. The venue hall. After the host's nonsense opening remarks, the representatives of both sides began to be introduced. The first to be introduced was the Western medicine team represented by Smith and Andre. The focus was on the two professors, what papers they had published, and some achievements they had made in the medical field. Of course, Chen Zhangjia was the head of the Chinese medicine side. Then the rules of this exchange meeting were explained. 2 patients with the same symptoms will be sent to be treated by both sides. Whoever has the best treatment will win. In order to be fair and just, the whole process will be live broadcast. Not long after, 2 old ladies were pushed up in wheelchairs. They both had lung cancer, and it was in the late stage, and they didn't have much time left. When they heard that they could receive free treatment, they agreed without hesitation. Anyway, they were waiting to die. What if they received treatment and it was successful? In fact, Western medicine took advantage of the home advantage. The last patient had blood circulation and nerve problems, and was cured by Chen Zhangjia. I also learned from many sources that she could treat difficult and complicated diseases, rheumatoid arthritis. What about cancer? It can't be treated, right? There has been no news of Chinese medicine treating cancer. And these 2 professors have gone a long way in the field of cancer. Even if it can't be cured, it's no problem to get the patient back to the mid-stage state. They are very confident in this battle between Chinese and Western medicine. Then the teams of both sides enter the venue, each leading people into a specially prepared room with various medical instruments. It is equivalent to a small emergency room. Before entering the door, Chen Zhangjia glanced at the audience and saw a familiar figure. Xu Liang smiled at her and expressed encouragement. Chen Zhangjia also smiled, and her originally somewhat uneasy heart calmed down. Taking a deep breath, she led people into the emergency room. Outside, you can see it from the live broadcast. On the Western medicine side, after entering the emergency room, they began to conduct various examinations on the patient. On the Chinese medicine side, someone was taking the patient's pulse. Ha ha ha, I am dying of laughter. It has been confirmed that it is cancer. What's the point of taking the pulse? It's over, it's over. This is cancer. Chinese medicine has no hope of winning. It depends on whether the female doctor has any way. Hey, look, everyone, the female doctor has taken action. Quote. Quote. In the ward, after taking the patient's pulse, several Chinese medicine practitioners felt that it was very difficult. For cancer, they have no other way except to regulate the body with Chinese medicine. They couldn't help but think of the protagonist of this exchange meeting, Chen Zhangjia of Betrayal. She is not old, but including some old Chinese medicine practitioners, no one underestimates her. She is really working hard for the rise of Chinese medicine. Let me take a look. Chen Zhangjia walked out of the crowd and came to the patient. 3 days ago, she was also powerless against cancer. A day ago, after she mastered the Tai magic needle, cancer was no longer a problem for her. Now, after learning the more powerful Guigu 13 needles, she is not panicked no matter what disease it is. After taking the patient's pulse, Chen Zhangjia knew what to do, took out the silver needle and began to give the patient acupuncture. A group of Chinese medicine practitioners looked at each other. They were all representatives sent by their respective Chinese medicine clinics, and of course they had real skills. They were naturally familiar with acupuncture. But they were still not prepared for Chen Zhangjia at all, and they started to give acupuncture directly, feeling a little confused. You know, the patient is in the late stage of cancer, and one careless move can kill him. The crowd watching the live broadcast was also worried for her. Seeing Chen Zhangjia needle after needle on the patient, they became more nervous. They were afraid that if they accidentally pierced the wrong place, they would send the patient away directly. Laymen couldn't understand, but Chinese medicine masters gradually found something wrong. Among them was Lin Hao, who sneaked into the hall of the venue. After coming in, he did not immediately look for Chen Zhangjia to perform Tai magic needle to show off. He planned to wait until Chinese medicine had no other options before he showed up. He would make a splash then. At this moment, seeing Chen Zhangjia giving acupuncture to the patient, he frowned and felt a little familiar. A flash of inspiration came to him. He remembered, isn't this the 13 needles of Guigu that the master told him? Lin Hao's face was full of horror. Because his master didn't know the 13 needles of Guigu either. He had only read a fragment from an ancient book, and he didn't know how to perform it specifically. The acupuncture method that the master didn't know, the senior sister actually used. Could it be? He slowly turned his head and looked at Xu Liang, who was playing with his mobile phone in the hall. Could it be that Shu Liang was really teaching the senior sister these 3 days, not to take advantage of her? Shaking his head, how could he think Shu Liang was a good person? He would rather believe that Shu Liang was taking advantage of her, and teaching medical skills was just an excuse. If Shu Liang knew his thoughts, he would definitely give him a big slap in the face. How do you know what I'm thinking? But Lin Hao still didn't believe it. If it was really the 13 needles of Guigu, wouldn't it mean that Shu Liang's medical skills were better than the master's? And if the senior sister cured the person, how could he pretend? How could he change his image in the senior sister's heart? He stared at the screen in the hall. Gradually, his heart sank, because the more he looked, the more he felt it was the 13 needles of Guigu. Not only him, but other old Chinese medicine practitioners also recognized it. The 13 needles of Guigu. In the emergency room, seeing Chen Zhangjia giving acupuncture, a group of Chinese medicine practitioners held their breath. A sudden exclamation scared them. Gradually, some people also tasted it and looked at Chen Zhangjia fiercely, their faces full of disbelief. Oh my God, it's really the legendary 13 needles of Guigu. It was understood at once. All those present were masters of Chinese medicine, and they had heard of Tai magic needle and the 13 needles of Guigu. Then they couldn't help but raise hope. If it is really the 13 needles of Guigu, there should be no problem in curing cancer. Half an hour later, Chen Zhangjia took the true needle back from the patient and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Some people couldn't help but come forward to check, and after taking the pulse, they were amazed. The condition has begun to improve. Then someone else came forward. After more than a dozen people took turns to check, they confirmed that the patient's condition was improving. That's right, it was getting better. No matter how powerful the acupuncture is, it can't make people get better instantly. This requires a recovery process. Swish, swish, swish. Everyone's eyes fell on Chen Zhangjia, their eyes full of excitement. The improvement of the condition means that her 13 needles of Guigu are real. That's the acupuncture in the legend. They have been seeking it all their lives, but they have no regrets to see it. Soon, the reviewers were called in with confused faces. It just started, and you told me that the patient was cured. According to regulations, they took the patient out for examination. Conference hall. Lin Hao was in despair. The facts were before him, and he had no choice but to believe them. Shu Liang was not only stronger than his second master. His medical skills were also better than his master. From the fact that he taught his senior sister Guigu 13 needles in 3 days, it was known that his medical skills had reached a new level. The more he compared himself with Shu Liang, the more he felt that he was a waste. Ding. Lin Hao's mentality was unstable, villain value plus 888. Shu Liang put down his phone and looked at Lin Hao. I was just reading the news about Mubai, who is working hard to develop new battery technology. I believe it will be successful in no time. Shu Liang was very pleased to see him working so hard. It was not easy for Shu Liang either. In order to make him devote himself to research and development, several scripts were designed. First, he played the villain and robbed his goddess to arouse his hatred, and hatred as motivation. Then he bankrupted his family so that he would not be distracted. Mubai. I'm really tied up. Sensing Shu Liang's look, Lin Hao tensed up and was ready to escape at any time. However, Shu Liang didn't seem to care about his thoughts. He just glanced at him and ignored him. This made him feel relieved but also very angry. Didn't he even have the qualifications to be valued by Shu Liang? Not long after, the reviewers came back from the inspection, holding 2 inspection results in their hands for comparison, full of doubts about life. Before treatment on both sides, they did more than one examination, and the conditions of the 2 patients were similar. After re-examination, they found that the patient's condition had improved significantly and was improving rapidly. After hesitating for a long time, he decided to publish the inspection data. At this moment in the live broadcast room, everyone is looking forward to the result. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing so hard. How many injections are there for me? And I'm going to have a checkup. It's such a child's play. The people upstairs don't understand and don't talk nonsense. How do you know it's not possible? Do you understand the profoundness of Chinese medicine? Are you kidding? That's advanced lung cancer. If the condition gets better, I'll eat shit on the spot. Everyone, Please stop arguing. Look, the test results are out. The live broadcast room was incessantly noisy, and it slowly stopped until I saw a barrage. When they saw the inspection results released by the jury, everyone was suffocated. Even if many people don't understand medicine, they can still see from the data that the patient's condition has improved. Really, just a few needles and it'll be fine. Before they could recover, an even more shocking scene appeared. I saw the old woman stood up from the hospital bed tremblingly, then slowly got out of bed and stood up. This can no longer be called a miracle. It's so outrageous that he opened the door for me. It's so outrageous. Holy shit, oh shit, oh shit. Didn't you say it was terminal cancer? Didn't you say that you were paralyzed and couldn't move? Who the hell can tell me this is a crazy situation? Quote question mark question mark question mark. What's all the fuss about? Isn't this the basic operation of Chinese medicine? I just want to ask, is the shit-eating guy upstairs still here? Ask the same question. +1 for the same question. Same question plus 10,086. Quote. The live broadcast room immediately exploded, with barrages flying all over the place. The jury came to the TCM emergency room. When the Chinese medicine doctors received the news, their expressions did not change much. They are still very confident in their diagnosis. But then, when I saw the old woman slowly getting up from the hospital bed, she finally stood up. They were still shocked. But then I thought about it, the legendary 13 needles of Guigu. Exaggerating to 100 million points is reasonable, right? The jury was so shocked that they were speechless and quickly pushed the person back for inspection again. But it's the emergency room of Western medicine. A group of people in white coats had just completed a physical examination of the patient, and 2 professors had already determined the treatment plan. When he was about to treat the patient, someone broke in. After they listened to the information reported by the visitor, all the doctors were dumbfounded. What? Impossible. This was their only reaction at this time. We have just finished examining the patient and determining the treatment method. Chinese medicine has already cured the patient. Everyone just felt that it was a fantasy. But when they left the emergency room, saw the patient sitting up from the bed, and read the before and after examination reports, they fell silent. Perhaps the previous examination was wrong, and the person did not actually have advanced lung cancer. This is unfair. Some people raised questions in a different way. Hearing this, all the old Chinese doctors were so angry that they blew their beards and stared. No one else is doing it either. You chose the venue, you chose the patients, and now you don't admit it. Under the pressure of public opinion, Western doctors took a step back. It's okay to let them admit it, unless Chen Zhangjia cures another patient. That patient was examined by them personally and was truly in the advanced stage of lung cancer. Chen Zhangjia stood up and lived up to expectations. An hour passed. When she cured another patient, the whole audience was silent. No matter how unbelievable it is for Western doctors, they still have to believe the facts in front of them. The jury finally announced the results. TCM wins with superior skills. This exchange meeting of Chinese and Western medicine has come to an end. All the Western doctors were at a loss and felt extremely aggrieved. They held this exchange meeting because they wanted to restore the image of Western medicine and suppress traditional Chinese medicine. In the end, they were the ones who were suppressed. The 2 old professors could not accept this fact. The thing they spent their whole life trying to conquer was easily solved, and they had to go to the rescue immediately after having a heart attack. What does it mean to be superior in skill? It's obviously a complete victory, right? The goddess doctor has already cured the person before it even started. It was a coincidence that we saved 1 patient, but what about the 2 now? Xiao Haitzi, keep calling me. Oh my god, Chinese medicine can even cure cancer. Chinese medicine is awesome, the goddess doctor YYDS. Ha ha ha, today we let them see the mysterious power from the East, look at those Western medicine idiots. Quote. The live broadcast room was completely boiling. It didn't take long for the news to be edited one by one and posted online to dominate most of the hot searches. Exchange conference on traditional Chinese and Western medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine completely wins over Western medicine. Cancers that the world cannot conquer are vulnerable to traditional Chinese medicine. The most beautiful miracle doctor in the world cured 2 terminal lung cancers in one morning. Betrayal became famous, and Chen Zhangjia became even more popular. Pa pa pa. When Chen Zhangjia came out of the emergency room, the hall was filled with thunderous applause. Whether it was high-ranking officials or wealthy people, they all looked at her with kindness. He could even cure cancer. He was a living miracle doctor, and she had to curry favor with him. Without paying attention to the admiration of these people, Chen Zhangjia hurriedly looked in one direction. Sure enough, she saw Shu Liang, who was smiling at her at this time. She smiled too. The smile was bright, like spring flowers blooming, and all flowers blooming. This scene was recorded by a photographer and appeared on the cover of Time, securing the title of the most beautiful miracle doctor. Seeing Shu Liang stand up and prepare to leave, Chen Zhangjia wanted to catch up. She was really too excited. Chinese medicine is famous all over the world, and her dream since childhood has come true. She can't wait to find someone to share it with. Shu Liang is the only candidate. Suddenly, her cell phone rang. Picking it up, it was a message from Shu Liang. Take care of things first, and we'll celebrate together in the evening. Chen Zhangjia paused. Indeed, the exchange meeting was over, but she had a lot to do. Logically speaking, looking at the senior sister on the high platform, Lin Hao should be happy. But he couldn't be happy at all. When he thought of the ambiguity between the senior sister and Shu Liang, he felt heartbroken. Ding! Lin Hao has hatred towards you, villain value plus 777. Chen Zhangjia spent the whole afternoon accepting various interviews, and was so busy that she was running around. She didn't know that as she became famous, someone had already set her sights on her. Being able to treat cancer, she was simply a walking treasure. I don't know how many ambitious people were dispatched. Especially from abroad, many unknown people entered the country, either to kill her or to capture her. But after these people came near Chen Zhangjia, they would always disappear inexplicably. This was of course Shu Liang's handiwork. He had anticipated this and arranged people to protect Chen Zhangjia. As for where the disappeared people went, Shu Liang did not kill them, but sent them to a place. A place full of killing and destruction. No one would believe it. The eldest son of the Shu family who controlled everything. On the surface, he was still gentle and elegant, and treated people with elegance and easygoingness. In the evening, Chen Zhangjia rejected all invitations and drove out of Betrayal alone. When she arrived at the restaurant, Shu Liang arrived first, and a candlelight dinner was ready. Lin Hao, who followed secretly, was furious when he saw this scene. The elder sister really came to find Shu Liang. He wanted to go out to stop her, but gave up after hesitating for a while. He felt very aggrieved. In the afternoon, he also noticed that someone was targeting the elder sister, and before he could make a move, he was already dealt with by someone. He was not even given a chance to save the beauty. There was no need to guess that it must be Shu Liang's handiwork. What shocked him was that among these people, there were actually masters of Huajin. Only then did he know that he was wrong. He was the eldest son of the Shu family, how could he be protected by only some minions? The reason why he didn't bring them with him was that it was unnecessary. Because his strength was stronger than those people. He was a master of Huajin himself, and he didn't know how many masters he had, or even if there were stronger masters. How could he play this? Lin Hao was more and more afraid of Shu Liang. At this moment, in his sight, Shu Liang and Chen Zhangjia sat opposite each other. Congratulations, your long-cherished wish has come true. Shu Liang smiled and raised a glass of red wine. Chen Zhangjia quickly picked up the glass, her face also full of smiles. Thank you, if it weren't for you, Betrayal would have been suppressed by Heping Hospital. If it weren't for you teaching me medical skills, it would be impossible to make Chinese medicine famous all over the world. Speaking of this, she couldn't help but think of the 3 days of hand-to-hand teaching, which was both warm and shy. She really fulfilled her dream with her own hands. You don't need to say thank you, you know. Shu Liang winked at her. Chen Zhangjia's face turned redder when she saw this, and she remembered what Shu Liang said before about promising her body. She didn't refuse. She came to the appointment today, which already represented her heart. There is a new movie that is good. How about we go and see it? After having a candlelight dinner together, Chen Zhangjia plucked up the courage and took the initiative to suggest going to the movie. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows slightly, smiled and nodded. After leaving the restaurant and walking on the street for a while, the two stopped in front of a movie theater. After Chen Zhangjia bought the ticket and came back, Shu Liang took her hand and walked in. The movie is about love. The heroine is a strong woman who only wants to develop her career. The hero is a rich man, but he is willing to give everything for her. Most of the cooperation projects of the heroine's company were secretly helped by the hero. Chen Zhangjia watched it very attentively. I feel like the heroine in the movie. She is only dedicated to the revival of traditional Chinese medicine. Shu Liang is the hero. He suddenly appeared when she was in a desperate situation and fulfilled her dream with his own hands. There are indeed some similarities. If reality is not premeditated. Shu Liang has no feelings for the movie, but he will not miss this opportunity and pulls her into his arms. He kissed her domineeringly. Chen Zhangjia was a little flustered at first, but she didn't resist, and then she was addicted to it. It was 10 o'clock in the evening. There were fewer people on the street. But for some people, the nightlife has just begun. Lin Hao, who had been squatting outside for 2 hours, was anxious. Finally, he waited for the two to come out. When he saw Chen Zhangjia holding Shu Liang's hand, with an intimate posture of leaning on each other, his brain crashed. That's right. After watching a movie, the relationship between the two became closer. From lovers, there is only a layer of window paper to be broken. Shu Liang will not break this relationship. When Chen Zhangjia finds out that he has other women, there will be no reason to question. Cheating, is there? Oh, I have other women, you didn't ask me. Maybe someone would say he is a scumbag. Shu Liang would tell that person. He is not a scumbag, he just wants to give each heroine a home. It's getting late, I'll take you home. Chen Zhangjia was stunned. She thought Shu Liang would take her to a hotel or his home. She didn't expect that he would take her home. This made her, who was ready to sacrifice herself, suddenly unable to do it. How could she know that Shu Liang had already checked her home and found no one was there? How could a hotel be as comfortable as the heroine's home? Chen Zhangjia got on the car inexplicably. Before getting on the car, Shu Liang winked at a figure in the dark. Seeing the Rolls-Royce go away in a cloud of dust, Lin Hao came to his senses and immediately wanted to chase. Judging from the postures of the two, the senior sister has already fallen. Now that she has been taken away by Shu Liang, who knows what kind of posture she will be in at night? He must chase her to stop her. He can't just watch the senior sister being bullied by Shu Liang. However, just when he was about to stop the car, an old woman walked out of the dark. The aura emanating from her was that of a master of Huajin. She was the master of Huajin who was protecting Chen Zhangjia. Lin Hao's face froze, his heart sank, and he didn't dare to act rashly. Ding! Lin Hao is angry with you, villain value plus 888. On the other side, Shu Liang sent Chen Zhangjia downstairs of her house. After getting off the car, Chen Zhangjia was still a little confused. It was a little different from what she thought. Having a candlelight dinner and watching a movie together made her feel the feeling of love that she had never experienced before. With her wish fulfilled today, she was ready to give herself to Shu Liang. If Shu Liang asked, she would agree. But he didn't. Did she think too much? Shu Liang invited her tonight, but that wasn't what he meant. She suddenly felt a little disappointed. Coming back from her wild thoughts, she looked at Shu Liang and invited him politely. Mr. Shu, how about going up and sitting? Okay, let's go and do it. Under Chen Zhangjia's guidance, Shu Liang came to her home. The whole house was simply decorated, with many medical books placed on the bookshelf, and a faint herbal fragrance filled the air. After closing the door, Chen Zhangjia suddenly realized that she was the only one at home. Now they were alone. Her heartbeat began to accelerate. Which room are you in? I'm a little curious, take me to see it. Shu Liang looked around, then looked at her, his tone a little inexplicable. Ah, Chen Zhangjia was stunned for a moment, then said nervously. Okay. She led the way in front, feeling her heart was about to jump out. Shu Liang followed behind with interest. She had a good figure, twisting her waist, and her back was enchanting. When she came to her room, Chen Zhangjia just opened the door, and a pair of hands hugged her from behind. Shu Liang came to Akina Mountain and started to choose a car. He picked a gentle one. This car has a beautiful appearance like jade and is well maintained. It is a new car on the road. Ding. Do you want to bring Chen Zhangjia into the family? Let her become a family member. Chen Zhangjia fell asleep. Shu Liang also heard the long-lost reminder sound in his mind. Without hesitation, he made a choice. Ding. Congratulations to the host, family member +1, you have obtained the skill, mind control. Mind control can affect the thoughts of people with weaker mental power than oneself, and can be activated when the person's will is weakest, and can control and enslave people. Shu Liang raised his eyebrows. This time the reward is a bit fierce. Control and enslave can be used to expand his power. In the past 6 months, he has made full preparations to deal with the protagonist. In addition to the power of the Shu family, he also built a force, and these people are only loyal to him. Skynet, which integrates intelligence and assassination, weaves a large network covering the whole world. There are 8 departments of heaven and earth, universe and wildness, scattered all over the world, performing different duties, among which the Sky Department is the strongest and has the highest potential. The Lord of Skynet is the fanatical belief of all Skynet people. As soon as Skynet appeared, it set off an endless bloody rain in the dark world. The first battle of Skynet was fought with a drug lord warlord as a sacrifice. You must know that this drug lord has a huge army and a series of lethal weapons such as rockets, submachine guns, howitzers, etc. However, after one night, all the troops died tragically, and the heads of the drug lords were hung on the high walls. In the second battle, a famous mercenary organization was wiped out overnight. The most famous one is the third battle, in which a country in Black Africa was destroyed. This is only because Skynet appeared and caused a big impact that it is widely known. I don't know how many things have been done behind it. At this point, Skynet's reputation was completely established. It became the most mysterious, terrifying and unprovoked force in the dark world, without a doubt. Countless people were terrified when they heard about it, and they were so scared that they stopped their children from crying at night. Speaking of which, Skynet was able to develop so quickly because he got the formula of the genetic medicine from a female protagonist. Unlike the genetic medicine in movies and novels, which transforms the body out of thin air. The medicine with this formula continuously extracts the potential of the human body and will cause certain damage to the foundation. For Shu Liang, who has undergone marrow cleansing and meridian cutting and has a systematic infusion of strength, this medicine can be said to have no effect at all. But for others, it is a magic medicine that they can't wait for. His upper limit is determined by your potential. Your potential is the master of transformation, and the genetic medicine will be slowly developed, and the strength will be improved very quickly. Therefore, he does not need a master, but only loyalty. I just don't know how many people can be enslaved by this mind control. Is there any requirement for mental strength? As for the limitation of weak will, Shu Liang didn't care at all. As many as he wants, he can find as many as he wants in the underground Colosseum. No one who goes in has his will destroyed. Mind control, combined with hypnosis, should bring unexpected surprises. Shu Liang fell into deep thought, but unfortunately he has not yet acquired hypnosis. With this thought, he couldn't help but think of the lottery. It has been several days since the last lottery, and the villain value has accumulated to more than 30,000. System, lottery, ding. Congratulations to the host, the prize is drawn, a small whip. A whip made of very cowhide, which will not leave marks on the body. Question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark. Stuff, very cowhide. The next moment, a small whip appeared in Shu Liang's hand. Waving it, the wind whistled. Not to mention, it's quite handy. With a thought, the small whip in his hand disappeared and was put into his personal space. Continue. Ding. Congratulations to the host, you have won the prize. A personal bodyguard need to be subdued by the host. The bodyguard will appear soon, please be prepared to subdue him. Friendly reminder. The bodyguard's appearance method is uncertain. Shu Liang. After drawing a bodyguard, do you have to subdue him yourself? The difference between drawing and not drawing is that someone will come to you. He felt that this lottery function was a bit unreliable from the beginning, and it turned out to be true. If you really want a good system reward, you have to build a family. There is still one chance to draw a lottery, and Shu Liang did not hesitate and drew all of them directly. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have won. The reward. Strength is improved by a small realm. Swish! A warm current flowed through his limbs and bones, and a domineering aura flashed through him. He had no hope at first, but in the end he got a surprise. Late stage of Huajin. Shu Liang clenched his fist and got familiar with the surge of power. His strength was directly instilled by the system, and there was no unstable foundation. Although he is only in the late stage of Huajin now, he is not afraid of the peak of Huajin. With a few god-level skills, he can easily kill. Shu Liang hugged the warm and soft jade, glanced at the red plum blossoms before going to bed, and looked out the window again. The sky was dim and it was almost dawn. If Chen Zhangjia wasn't incapable, then it wouldn't be a problem for Chen Zhangjia. The sun hit her buttocks, and Chen Zhangjia woke up slowly. I felt myself in a warm embrace, and the memory of last night came to my mind. That shy scene was like opening the door to a new world. She frowned, felt something on the tip of her nose, and opened her eyes. Shu Liang was playing with a piece of her hair. Meeting those playful eyes, she quickly closed her eyes and hid in Shu Liang's arms, not daring to come out. Who would have thought? The goddess doctor in the eyes of countless people had taken the shape of someone else last night. At this time, he was huddled in a man's arms. Shu Liang smiled and pulled her out. After a cat-and-mouse game, Chen Zhangjia recovered. Betrayal. It was 3 o'clock in the morning and there were many people waiting outside. They all came here to see the goddess doctor. Among them was a very embarrassed figure. Lin Hao's hair was disheveled, his clothes were somewhat torn, and he had 2 dark circles under his eyes. He still had a fight with the Huajin Grandmaster last night. There is no doubt that he was defeated in several moves. Fortunately, the Grandmaster didn't seem to have any intention of embarrassing him. He just stopped him for a while and left. Lin Hao didn't think much, he was going to find Senior Sister and Shu Liang. But where can I find it in the vast darkness? He didn't give up. I think Shu Liang took his Senior Sister to the hotel. So he searched almost all nearby hotels, but found nothing. Gradually, it gets bright. He also gave up. In my heart, I just hope that Senior Sister can stick to her heart and not let Shu Liang succeed. Laugh. At this time, a low-key Audi parked at the entrance of Betrayal. The goddess doctor is here. Someone recognized this as Chen Zhangjia's car and exclaimed. Everyone followed his gaze. A middle-aged woman got out of the car, not Chen Zhangjia. She went to the back seat and opened the door. Chen Zhangjia got out of the car and appeared in front of everyone, causing a sensation in the whole place. It's really a goddess doctor. After squatting here for a few days, I finally met the real person. As expected, I was not disappointed. I feel like the female doctor looks beautiful again today. I wonder what kind of skincare products she used. Are you kidding? She is a miracle doctor, but she still needs to use those chemicals. Hey, the female doctor is about to fall down. What happened to her today? She was a little careless. Quote. Chen Zhangjia got out of the car and frowned. He took a step forward and suddenly his feet went weak. If he hadn't been supported by the female bodyguard beside him, he might have fallen to the ground. I couldn't help but complain about Shu Liang. But seeing the driver and bodyguard beside her, she felt full of happiness. After listening to Shu Liang's account of her situation, she obediently accepted the bodyguard arranged by Shu Liang. In the crowd, Lin Hao's pupils exploded when he saw this scene. Chen Zhangjia fell down. Some people might think it was accidental, but he didn't think so. Since ancient times, there has been no separation between medicine and martial arts. The Senior Sister has also practiced martial arts and has Mingjin's strength. How could a fall happen? Combined with the young womanly charm that oozes from her body. How could Lin Hao still not know what happened last night? The Senior Sister is already in the shape of Shu Liang. Snap. He gave himself a hard slap, and now he regrets it extremely. Why didn't you tell the Senior Sister about how many boats Shu Liang was riding in the first place? If I had told her earlier, maybe today wouldn't be here. Ding. Lin Hao is mentally unstable, villain value plus 1000. After calming down for a while, Chen Zhangjia walked towards Beicao Hall. At this time, the crowd was in a commotion, looking for her autograph. She was really blushing now. Whether literally or literally. Before anyone could gather around them, a group of female bodyguards appeared out of nowhere and blocked them from outside. Chen Zhangjia successfully entered Beicao Hall. However, someone still broke through the blockade and came to her. Who else if not Lin Hao? Senior sister. Looking at Chen Zhangjia, Lin Hao's face was complicated and he blamed himself very much. It's all his fault for concealing the truth at that time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been deceived by that scumbag Xu Liang. Lin Hao, you came just in time. I have something to tell you. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Chen Zhangjia. You should leave Beicao, Brother Liang said. I don't want to see other men around me. When she said this, she had a happy smile on her face. What does this mean? It shows that Xu Liang cares about her very much. Question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark. Lin Hao. He looked at Chen Zhangjia in disbelief. Ah, even Brother Liang was called. Well, he is her junior brother, and she wants to kick him out for a scumbag. Seeing the determined expression on Chen Zhangjia's face, his heart broke. Lin Hao left Beicao silently, and finally did not say anything about Xu Liang's efforts to get his fiancée pregnant. Judging from Chen Zhangjia's appearance, she has a deep love for Xu Liang, and she wouldn't believe him even if he told her. Unless the evidence is put in front of her. Ding! Lin Hao's mentality exploded, villain value plus 1000. The Rolls-Royce was driving on the street. After reading the news that Lin Hao was driven away by Chen Zhangjia, Xu Liang put down his phone and smiled playfully. After being driven out of Beicao, where will you go next? Are you going to find the second senior sister Sha Qingqiu? Or are you going to find the third senior sister Dongfang Xuanyan? Unfortunately, Dongfang Xuanyan is not in the Magic City. She is only one step away from being pulled into the family's heroine. It will be very interesting for the protagonist to find her. But it should be soon, she will be back from the global tour soon. Then it is likely to find Sha Qingqiu. This woman is a bit difficult to deal with. I hope she will be more sensible and not force him to use extraordinary means. The car slowly stopped and Xu Liang came back to his senses. Mu Bai is his target this time. He received a message from Peng Ming that Mu Bai's new battery technology is about to be completed. The reason why he came so quickly is to appear at the moment when the protagonist completes it. Throw him down from heaven to hell. Compared to Lin Hao being driven out by the heroine, what happens here will be more exciting. This is the back mountain of Magic City University, which is remote and has several laboratories. Mu Bai's research and development is carried out here. Tisk, has it been developed yet? Just as he got off the car, a message came over. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows, and a smile flashed across his eyes. Then, he walked into the laboratory with several bodyguards. I succeeded. In the laboratory, Mu Bai, with fluffy hair, dirty clothes, and a few days of not showering, looked at the palm-sized iron box in his hand and was ecstatic. Don't look at the small size of this iron box, its effect is 10 times that of those new energy batteries on the market. What does 10 times mean? If the cruising range of a new energy vehicle can reach 100 kilometers, excluding the influence of loss factors such as vehicle weight and air conditioning, then this iron box can make its cruising range reach 1,000 kilometers, saving an unknown amount of fuel costs. Not only that, its smaller size means that more space can be left in the car. Its market value can be imagined. Once it is launched, it will definitely cause turmoil in the new energy industry. You can easily make hundreds of billions, and if you manage it well, trillions are not impossible. For Mu Bai, this not only represents trillions of wealth, but also gives him hope for revenge. He will never forget the pain Xu Liang brought him. He stole his goddess and bankrupted his Mu family. He didn't let them go even after all this, and they could only sleep in the park every day and fight with wild dogs for food. Fortunately, he didn't give up. After several days of sleepless research and development, he finally completed it. Ha ha ha, Mu Bai laughed wildly, venting his frustration these days. Next to him, Peng Ming's eyes flashed with pity and reluctance. He wanted to tell his best friend the truth. You have been targeted for a long time, waiting in the dark. Everything you do is just to make wedding clothes for others. But, He didn't dare to say it. He didn't dare to joke about the life and death of his family. For my family, Brother Bai, I'm sorry. He was terrified when he thought of Shu Liang's indifferent eyes. His eyes fell on a USB flash drive on the table next to Mu Bai, and he moved slowly step by step. It contained the complete new battery technology. Suddenly, Mu Bai stopped laughing and spoke with hatred. Shu Liang, you wait for me. I will repay you 1,000 times for the pain you brought me. Really, the sudden sound made Mu Bai's words stop abruptly. He would never forget this voice even if he was beaten to death. He turned his head suddenly, and as expected, he saw Shu Liang and a few people walking in. How could it be? Why was Shu Liang here? And, when I was researching, the door was locked, so how could he come in without making any sound? Seeing Shu Liang, Mu Bai didn't care to think about these things, and the suppressed anger broke out completely. What are you doing here? Shu Liang, is it you who bankrupted my Mu family? Why am I like this, and you still won't let me go? He asked 3 questions in a row, asking out the grief and anger in his heart. He was really puzzled. It was Shu Liang who had snatched away the goddess he had been pursuing for 7 years. But he seemed to have offended him and would not stop until he had beaten him to death. Ding. Mu Bai is resentful of you, villain value plus 888. You have a lot of questions. Shu Liang stroked his chin, then I will answer them one by one. He could see that Mu Bai's luck was running out. He must harvest them all today. Then let's chat for a while, and be a wise ghost. When he knew that he was just a chess piece, his expression would be very interesting. After all, killing someone must be done to the heart. The so-called villains who die because of talking too much are those villains who are not good enough. For him, it doesn't exist. He has absolute strength, and no matter what tricks the protagonist makes, he can solve them. I came here, of course, I am interested in what you have in your hand. Shu Liang smiled faintly. What? Mu Bai was shocked. He thought Shu Liang came here to find him. Unexpectedly, it was a new battery technology developed for him. Just when he was shocked, a bodyguard came to him and reached out to grab the iron box in his hand. Mu Bai quickly retracted his hand and tried to protect it in his arms. But the hand was faster than he thought, and grabbed his wrist and squeezed it gently. An indescribable pain came. He couldn't help but let go of his hand, and the iron box fell into the bodyguard's hand. The next moment, the bodyguard returned to Shu Liang and presented his hands respectfully in front of him. Shu Liang picked up the iron box and played with it with interest. The appearance was silver, with a metallic texture, full of technological atmosphere. Not bad, it can be handed over to the Galaxy Group for research and development and production. The Galaxy Group was a company he secretly established. It was established less than half a year ago, but it squeezed into the top 500 companies in the world at a very fast speed. There are not many products, only some medicines for beauty, health, etc. The effect of the medicine is extremely amazing, far surpassing those skincare products and health medicines on the market. Of course, these medicines cannot make it into the top 500 in such a short time. Only a few people know that the Galaxy Group also produces a gene medicine liquid that can improve physical fitness and eliminate diseases. This is unparalleled for those who stand at the top of the world. They are willing to pay tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of sky-high prices. In fact, those medicines are just some corners extracted from gene medicines, but they are already world-leading products. The so-called gene medicine liquid is nothing more than the effect of gene medicine diluted dozens or hundreds of times. In his imagination, the Galaxy Group focuses on world-leading products. Originally, I thought that only gene medicine liquid was a bit too monotonous, and this new battery technology could be barely added in. Mu Bai grabbed the injured part of his wrist and looked at Shu Liang with a look of shock and anger. I'm making your Mu family bankrupt for your own good, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to develop this thing so quickly. Shu Liang retracted his gaze, his tone somewhat amusing. What? Mu Bai was completely dumbfounded. You're making my family bankrupt, or is it for my own good? Wait, he found the point in this sentence. Making the Mu family bankrupt is just to make him develop the new battery earlier. Doesn't that mean that he has long been eyeing the things he developed? No wonder they are desperate and targeted wherever they go, but the laboratory is safe and sound. This is to let him develop it, and then he will snatch it, and get something for nothing. Everything is figured out. Mu Bai's eyes are bloodshot, veins on his forehead are bulging, and he is furious. He had already succeeded, and he just had to wait for the new battery to be produced, and it would not be a problem to catch up with the Shu family. But at this time, Shu Liang suddenly appeared and told him that everything was arranged, and he was just a tool. It made him feel like he fell from heaven to hell. What a cruel heart. In order to let him concentrate on research, he directly bankrupted his family. While he was angry, he felt extremely chilled. This was completely based on Shu Liang's preferences, and he didn't care about the law and morality at all. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.